And we're recording. Hi, everybody. As always, I'm Brian Kynes, the creator of the Tales of Ulran campaign setting. Um, wh- where is every? Where is everybody? Guys, can you? You're pulling a McGuffey. Okay, you can come out now. You can come out now. Okay. Very funny, everyone. Danny, if you're watching this from wherever you are, you've created a monster, and and this is it. Anyway, enough silly shit. We have a lot to talk about and discuss tonight. I, as always, am Brian Kynes, the creator of the Tales of Ulran campaign setting. We use a variety of different types of TTRPG game systems, including but not limited to Pathfinder, Dungeons and Dragons, DC 20, MCDM's version with Matthew Colville, and more and more and more. And hopefully, we'll maybe even throw in a little emerald bam of Daggerheart from the Critical Role guys. Who knows what kind of shit we're going to get into, but at the end of the day, it just facilitates us playing the best game we possibly can. And these awesome people that are joining me on this Sunday afternoon are here to help me write this story about Ulran, one chapter at a time. I'd like to thank everybody for tuning in. Let's go ahead and go through introductions real quick, then we'll get into all of the chaos that I've been rewriting and working on all day today. Bella, please. The first time she will be joining us as, well, go ahead. You explain to us.
Yes, I'm going to be Silouan, the character that I took over from just like in the pathway, probably over a year ago at this point. And
It's
this is the
been
first
more than a
time,
year, believe it or not. It's been a long
yeah.
time.
And this is the first time that I've been on camera because I only started coming on camera within the past few sessions. So the character I started with, I'm revisiting with fresh eyes and fresh face. Apparently, our little one-winged Skylancer gal who I think was floating in the
Ether?
whatever in the
In the
ether
ether, yeah, yeah.
fairly recently in the timeline of the game, but to us was many months ago. Many months
Yes.
ago.
And we were discussing that earlier. We believe it was almost 9 months ago.
That is an entire child development.
There is a lot that kids learn on the bus in 9 months. That's all
Oh,
I'm
I meant
saying.
I meant that's the entire time to grow a human, like
Oh, that's actually
nine
clinically
months.
that is true. 9 months exactly. Yes, that's hilarious. Colby, good luck topping that. Go ahead, bud. Have a bite of pizza and speak after me. I am somebody.
I am Kiltus. I'll be playing as Kiltus. I, he is a human barbarian archer with a companion that is an Allosaurus named Loki. And I believe when I have left him, he was about midway through his fight with two very enraged gorillas.
Yeah. When I looked at the map, he was helping with the Ozo Men, which are a almost like a gorilla hybrid, like humanoid race from the lands of Tenosia. They're one of the more tribal barbaric races. Some of them have become corrupted because they have got too close to what could possibly be. Well, we'll just leave that as a surprise. But anyway, some of the forces of darkness that have been hidden and kept away since the Age of Dreams by demonkind have started to find their way into the hearts and souls and physical being of some of these very territorial, gallant creatures. Majestic, if you will. Yes. And Colby is having his hands full, him and Kiltusk, dealing with some of that currently. We'll get back into it. I watched that episode today. Good stuff. You were getting your ass kicked, Colby. I mean, they were thrashing on you, bud, and you were trying, and but they were just like they're tough, and they're
I
supposed to
mean,
be.
it was technically a 2-on-1, but don't I do remember don't do rolling a well executed natural 20 at one point.
I
That
think you
saved my
rolled like
ass.
a double 20. if I'm not mistaken. And I know that for two reasons. One, because it was a big deal. And two, the look of utter, like, is that bullshit on Jeremy Keaton's face when you did it? That was fun for me as well.
I like to think that's what started our in favor and unfavor
Yes.
rule.
Yes. So now that Jeremy's having full-on conversations with people other than us, let's go ahead and ask him to unmute, introduce himself and his long-lost character, one of my favorites.
You're playing the part of Merc, also known as Brahmus. Brahmus being the angelic construct, and Merc being the ghost of a human paladin who is slowly returning to form.
Well done. It's been really fun with that character. I hope that someone watches this and is like, man, I want to do something like that too. Because I would have never thought it could be possible to do something like that and manage it. Dude, he is a role play juggernaut. That character and the things he brings to the table in combination with Silliman and with Kiltusk and learning about the true behind the scenes look at what the gods really are, and Silliman learning and being able to train within Brahmus. It writes itself, folks. It's good stuff, and I'm glad to be a part of it. So many different funny things I could say. I like just recording us just bullshitting about this kind of stuff, but we actually get to play too. It's kind of cool, right? So there's a lot here. Luckily, it's all recorded, so I'm able to take a look at a lot of it and make sure, because a lot of it I kind of come up with off the hip, which is how I like to play. And then it's a matter of sorting through the ridiculousness after it's over to make sure it all makes sense and lines up. And I'm glad to say that it does. So I'm going to go over real quick. Now, it's not going to be quick. I'm not going to lie. It's going to take a few minutes. Some of the things that I believe at this point we all know and are aware of. Okay? This is also a conversation. If there's a point at me for getting us caught up after, like I say, a whole childbirthing 9 months worth of time here, I got that stuck in my head now, Bella. I can't get over it. This campaign's come to term, is what we're saying. I'm going to go through this. Feel free to add in when I start talking about one of your characters and including their thoughts on this. This is just what I've witnessed you do and what I have notes on. Okay? So, we're in a place called the Crescent Cradle, which is the ancient, early civilization. One of the very first, it could possibly be the cradle of existence. It's called the Crescent Cradle, but it's also called Tenosia. Okay? In Valdera, Ebensteel, along with Tamara, and a few people are representatives of a place called the Heart of the Beast Salvage and Supply. It's just a great place in New Gemdar, and what they do is they are monster hunters and collectors of their wares. They have a whole processing place there where they have Wynonna, the dwarven, whatever you want to call her. I don't even know if she really has a title, but she maps out all this stuff, and there's a group of people, and they process all this stuff for components, for spellcasters, for armors, for rare and unique stuff, for there's all kinds of goods, teeth, bones, scales, you name it. And a contract fell into the lap of Valdera, which is typically played by me. It's one of my original characters, and Tamara. And it was to come here and deal with a large pest that had been running rampant and murdering the people of this great continent. And we heard it was this large bird that we were told was called the Quetzalcoatl, or the Quetzalcoat for short. And we're like, where do we sign up? We got a guy off an airship, Aeolus Lunari. He's going to bring us over. There's more NPCs that I can even make up voices for. And together we got on this ship, and we flew here to take care of this. And man, did it explode into more than we bargained for. We literally have just uncovered some of the most world-defining things for Ulran as a whole, just by going through this, just by Valdera being like, hey, let's get some feathers and sell them. You know, that's how it started. And here we are almost 2.5, 3 years later, It's incredible. The stuff this is created. Silouan, still battling with amnesia from one hell of a wallop she took in one of the fights when we first got here, is starting to remember bits and pieces of her past and the pain that she had been through. Kiltusk, being one of the very few left Atladi warriors, original warriors that are territorial to this place. Not territorial, but are just, this is their home and their hunting ground. And they are said to be able to take on any challenge that this island provides. The bigger the creature, the more respect and praise the god Bakka, the Earth God, to these people have in the Atladi. They wouldn't create a creature that an Atladi wasn't meant to be able to slay. That's the demographic. But unfortunately, that power struggle took a turn. And a group called the Nagtal began to worship into a certain individual, which you briefly met in one of the flashbacks that you were in on one of the last episodes. You got to see a vision of him from the past, some great serpentine-dressed sorcerer. And he's led I don't know if you want to call it it's not a revolution, but he has just led an uprising of saying, we will now create monsters that the gods will fear. We will not play by your rules anymore. And they created a creature called the Terrachua. They prayed that this thing would be born of the earth and come to slay creatures on their behalf, messing with the dynamic. The Atladi believed in the natural ways, but these Nagtal, these serpentine cultists, believed that they could create a mockery of nature, a monster, and pray to it, have it created from the actual depths and bowels of the ancient lands, and have it come forth, control this creature, and make it destroy things for them, thus being the masters of their own destiny. But they got way more than they asked for. And when they did create this creature and brought it into existence, it ripped the Crescent Cradle apart. Land masses broke off, almost like you always hear about California breaking off. That kind of shit actually happened here. And it broke the Crescent Cradle, which used to look like kind of a crescent moon, into 3 to 4 distinct land masses. Places swelled up and flooded. Ancient ruins were lost. Everything that these people had created, temples, technology, lost. Reduced to rubble, and then all the power belonged to the Nagtal, because they had the keys to one of the most devastating creatures known. Now, we found out a lot of things about this large bird. It turns out it wasn't a Quetzalcoatl at all, that was all a lie. Created in the minds of these Nagtal, especially their leader, the Nagal. Okay. His name is, and for some reason I have a hard time remembering it, because we only talked about him in one episode. Just a minute, I'll find it. It's right here. His name was Ahzeku, Azeku. And that's the one that we heard talking to the seraphim deep within the temple that time, and talking about how Ambriel couldn't hide from him. I don't know how many of you remember that conversation. It was a little bit chilling, to be honest, to watch it again. I was really in character on that one. I was like, damn, Brian, that's intense, buddy. And it was. Right? Yeah, hey, why the hell not? So, what it comes down to is, we saw flashbacks of memories from an ancient Makati cleric by the name of Malin, that we've actually teamed up with and found lost deep within this colliding universe of Brahmus's internal universe mixed with Ambriel's internal universe. As you see, these two seraphim have interdimensions inside of them. They're constructs, but inside of them are these vast expanses based on their inhabitants and their memories. And these two universes have got too close together, and they've jumbled and created one odd space, which is a combination of angelic memories of ancient wars that no one has ever been privy to, and the memories of Mercandal Steelcrest, Jeremy's character, and the pain he had in life, and now the new friends and things he's made moving forward. And in that mess of universes, we found Malin. Malin explained to us that the Nagtal had created a myth about this large avian predator, which is actually called a guarda. That's the true name of it. And they said that it was the embodiment of the Quetzalcoatl, and it was to be feared by all the people of Tenosia. But it turned out they were sacrificing people to the bird. They were stealing the bird's eggs and destroying them, making it look like the Makati people themselves were at fault for this, spreading their blood on the nesting ground of this large, massive, gargantuan avian predator, and thus turning the creature against them for real reasons. But that's all the Nagtal that's all they needed to begin the process. It gave them the excuse to start praying for the creation of the Terrachua, the large beast that ripped the lands apart. All of it was plain for them. There was no original great evil creature named the Quetzalcoatl. It was all just a means for them to get the power to do what they wanted to do, and it worked. That's a lot to take in, but we have discovered all this, and now, luckily enough, with the help of many different allies and things, we were able to navigate our way through the water temple of Yeota. Yeota being a scion. These Atladi warriors, every once in a while, a scion will be born to them that have amazing mental-like powers. And what they do is they help aid in the hunts. They they dazzle and befuddle the minds of the dinosaurs and the predators there and help with the hunt. And they're also very powerful psychics and things of that nature. And Yeota's temple was designed to keep some of the secrets that the world had lost. It had endured the cataclysm that was the Terrachua coming forth and destroying the lands. And through a lot of teamwork and a lot of puzzle solving and things like that, we made our way through it and were able to reanimate a creature. Yes, Bella, please.
Something that comes to mind is I think that is the same water temple where I learned that Silwen I don't think can swim because during the multiple times going through water tunnels, she wasn't the most successful. So
yeah, dude, it was rough because, I mean, that was really fun to play through. But every single damn time. And what was crazier is I'm going through and reviewing that, right? And you guys got to attest to this. Every time you popped up on the other side, you survived. But you gasped for breath as you just emerged up through the water. And every time you did that, you made Danny like shit himself. Like Danny's character Bass was always right there. And you'd come up and not have him roll checks. And every time he rolled miserably. And it was just great. It was just a 1, 2, 3 joke. Every time it was good for it, man. Yes. But hopefully we'll keep you clear water for a while. I'm really hoping to do that. Or I'm just going to give you proficiency in it because you've earned it.
Or canonly, she sucks at swimming, and then in a plan B potential side quest down the line, teach Silwen how to swim.
I mean, yeah. You know, they do that like Critical Roles, like the search for Grog. They had like a side campaign at one point where they just looked for Grog. And they found him. This could be the thing. The Silwen learns to swim. And it's just the thing that we go through. That could be awesome.
I mean, it does make sense to me that if the character that can fly is terrible at swimming.
It does. It does. So, that's a lot to take in. So, where we're at now is we have been able to traverse through this interdimensional space, the combination. Well, first, we've erected this large gargantuan construct called the Meconte, based off of words of Mechon technology. That's what the ancient people of this temple called Mechon, was the Meconte. The people that made this, once again, I'm sorry, sometimes there's so many words. My God, there's so many words. Oh no, see, the Makati were the name of the actual people. That's who the priest was. the large construct itself. You guys remember what we actually called that in their language?
No, I do not.
I'll look at for now. They pretty much called it Bakka. They
Yeah,
thought
yeah,
it was
and-
like the embodiment of the god Bakka. And it
Yeah, I
was
knew they
actually-
were calling it Bakka because
Yeah.
that's what he looked like.
Yeah, and to them, that's who they saw. I mean, it was built by the Makati people, and they learned the technology from Mechon, from Ambriel, the seraphim that was found and placed deep inside this water temple. Turns out she wasn't here all the time. When the cataclysm happened, they found this seraphim body, this grand Mechon technology like silver metal knight like thing, and they put it up in there as a shrine, and the next thing you know, the thing is communicating with them. And it's Ambriel, the angel inside, reaching out and explaining to these people all kinds of secrets and mysteries of science and creation. And so they were the ones that constructed this large, like what do they call the Zords and Power Rangers? What do we call them in the Pacific Rim? What are they called? The large,
Kaiju?
yeah, the
No,
kaiju. It's
that
a big
the
freaking
no.
kaiju.
Is that what the mechs
Are they?
are called? The kaiju?
No, I think the
so.
kaiju was. I think the kaiju was the
Kaiju are the
creatures.
monsters. Yeah.
Yeah, but anyway, it's kind of what it is. It's like it's big creation, and the old man that we have found inside of this place, the one we saw flashbacks of him being there for a sacrifice to this Garda to turn it against the Makati people, Malin. Malin has been lost in here for a long time. He's like in his late 60s, early 70s, and he's created 4 distinct tablets that he has told us each hold the key to commanding this big construct of Bakka into doing something. This is almost, and I hate to make this comparison, but it's almost like cartridges or SD cards or flash drives or a data SD. And he says if these are inserted into the temple in the right place, that they will send commands to the large construct and can greatly help in us regaining the lands of Tenosia. Okay, so you almost have to think of me like these as almost like command words, and we have to figure out where to put them and how to use them. Okay, as that realization was happening, as we're having this meeting, we finally got to that big door of light. Remember, Jeremy, the whole inside quest was trying to get from where we were, jumping from doorway and memory to memory, which was a great learning experience for everybody about the past, was to get to that bottom little piece of floating ruins in space that had a light door on it. But now that we've got here,
Did that here, Davis County.
Merc was even thinking about staying here permanently at one point. And then it turned out there was more for him to do. And the Atladi warrior Baraxel decided that he would have Yeota's spirit join with him. And he would team up with Malin, the old Makati cleric in here, which, by the way, was a Makati geomancer, by the way, is what he actually was. And they are going to walk through the portal together to try to find Ambriel and bring her back into the light. Briefly, Ambriel, being an angelic spirit, has been lost inside of her seraphim for countless ages. During the Dawn War, when all the angels and demons split and went to their respective planes of existence, she was left out of that equation because she was lost inside of a seraphim. And the thing is, the inside realm is created from the memories and the life experiences that you have. And every angel existing has thousands of souls inside theirs, including their own, and are countless ages old. So you can only imagine how grand and vast it is inside of Ambriel's seraphim. Just to give yourself an idea, like one memory of a day creates a room. So she's lost in there. She doesn't know how to navigate herself back through her own thoughts and memories and those of all the compounded angelic spirits and minds that she possesses. and the old
Yeah,
Makati
this-
cleric and Broxel decided they're going to walk through the door, and they're going to spend what's left of their existence to help find her and bring her to. What were you going to say, Jeremy?
I was saying that's what threw Merc off, because even after all this time he has spent inside of Brahmus, he's still finding doors that he has never seen that are still parts of memories that are still within this construct.
Mm-hmm.
He gets into here, and this place is more vast than anything he had ever seen.
And I've tried to explain it, but there are no words to explain how vast this place truly is. But if anyone could find an angelic soul in here, it would be Baraxel, the Atlati warrior, and this Makati cleric, understanding more about these ways than any other being that lives probably in Ulran to this day.
And if we went with, that would seal our fate for the rest of eternity.
We could possibly be lost with them, but this is their thing. Like, if you remember, Baraxel had been injured pretty bad, and he also took in the soul of Yeota to act as a god as well, in place of Karsu the Scion, and gave her a chance at going back and living again. So this has been very heroic, very bittersweet, but an awesome end or beginning for these two NPCs. And with that, these 4 tablets that contain, yes, please go ahead.
I just had a thought. So
Like, hear it.
Stilwyn would want to give them something before they walk through.
Write it down. We're going to go to that scene here in just a minute. Please remember
Perfect.
that. I
Yeah.
want that. I want that, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome. So these 4 tablets were given to you all, and they are in your possession now. I think Brahmus actually, or I think Merc is the one carrying them, and they are going to be used, and the goal is to use them somewhere in the water temple, insert them in, and give these commands. But we've been warned by Malin that the construct is old and aging, and the different devastation and the things that's happened to the Crescent Cradle and the lands of Tenosia over the years has set a lot of things to ruin that were once a lot more grand and functional. So if there are only 4 things that he has been able to create over this, what we're guessing was like 40 years or 50 years he's been in here, every time we give it a new command, the construct will become more brittle and more prone to break down and become dormant forever. Or unless people learn how to fix it years from now, but no one else could right now. So we have to be very selective in which one of these ancient tablets we decide to enter into the temple with, and decide of these 4 things, what's our most important and what's our least important. And the thing is, guys, each one of these 4 things is a pretty big fucking deal. A brief rundown of what those 4 things are. Who remembers any of them? It's been a minute. Okay, and that's perfectly fine, because I kind of knew them, but I didn't remember all the things that they could entail. I want to talk about what these 4 things are, and I want you guys to start thinking. And then I'm going to talk about what Colby was dealing with on the outside, and then we'll jump into it. Okay? And this is necessary. There's a lot here, and I hope this is, you guys are remembering some of this stuff. I hope it's starting to come back to you a little bit. One thing that the old man said, Malin, is in that kind of dry voice that he used. He prayed that we had the wisdom and the knowledge to use Bakka the way it was intended, to set aside all the differences between the people that exist in Tenosia, and once again rid these lands of the corruption that is the Terrachua. And he was pleading with us to set things right again, because he had saw firsthand the murder, the things this Nagtal group went through to cause such a disruption to the civilization and the way the future was to unfold. He's worked for years at it here. The first tablet is said that Bakka will once again open up the waterfall of ascension. Okay? So the way he explains it is that before the destruction, and we know a little bit about this because we've learned in New Gemdar and different places throughout the world, and Silowin, you know a little bit about this too, that we know that dryads are like an ascension version of elves. That when they have had enough time in our mortal realm, they can find ways to get into a place called the Dawnscape. But mortals, living beings, don't have a place in the Dawnscape or the Netherfall. These are places for folks that have either passed on or are evolving into an afterlife. Okay? And dryads are a form that elves, certain elves that have met the criteria, can take on when they are ready to pass on and move to the next plane of existence, into the Dawnscape, and can become these dryads and evolve and turn into these creatures and move on. Okay, so this is almost what we find out is there is a version of that for the people of Tenosia as well. And the way through this place is a waterfall called the Waterfall of Ascension. Okay, and the way that the old Makati cleric explains it was there's a vast waterfall that runs through the center of a mountain with an opening up towards the sky. And when the Tarachua's destruction rained down on these lands, it collapsed in and took away that gateway for deserving Atladi warriors, for Makati clerics and geomancers to ascend and become what they were meant to be. It shut it down. And he says it was a grand waterfall that you would walk through, and when you got to the other side, if your soul was truly ready, on the other side of the waterfall, a opening would appear, and then you could walk through it. If you were not ready and your soul was not ready to ascend, then when you went through the waterfall, there was nothing more than stone on the other side awaiting you, and you knew it wasn't your turn. It wasn't your time. He says Bakka can remove the rubble and open up that passageway. He says, and if that's true, then all the spirits and souls of the Atladi and the Makati and all the people that have fallen over the last 50 years can enter that place and ascend if they want to, or ones that have ascended before and taken on a form that we're calling the Kotal. And if you know anything about fantasy and lore, the Kotal is an awesome rainbow-winged serpent. You can look it up. They're in every kind of monsters book for every kind of TTRPG there is. They're a grand celestial serpent that have all these awesome colored scales and these rainbow-colored wings, and they're very powerful. And it turns out that that is the form that these people take when they ascend. Elves do dryads, and the Atlad people, this is one of their forms. Okay? Bella accidentally put a picture of something that she really liked on Facebook one day, and I was like, did I slip something? Did I accidentally tell her what these damn things look like and shit? Because it is almost exactly, other than a few small features, of what I envision these beings to look like when they take on that mortal form to traverse between the two realms. Okay. Second tablet is said to be able to create a land bridge from the city of Volatam to the wilds of Tenosia to free the people that have been enslaved there by the Nagtao for so long, creating a land bridge, a salvation, that the quake made from this land bridge will level those that are evil and give a passageway to righteousness for those that seek refuge from the corrupt city. That's a second thing that they say this construct of Bakka is able to do. Now, how that works, you're not sure, but that's the best the old Makati cleric can tell you from the design of what he has created on these ancient stone tablets. Okay? The third thing that they can do is something that seems to be very, very necessary. Okay? There are different kinds of aqueducts and things that have been built by the reptilian creatures of these lands called the Vasilian. We fought them a lot. And we may have more to fight. And they have flooded these lands. Between the devastation from the Terrachua, these lands have become flooded, and it has taken away our ability to traverse ancient tombs and ruins that have just been left to waste. It is said that Bakka will be able to destroy some of these aqueducts and raise gates on the water temple and drain the water from these lands back into the ocean and reveal one very important ruin that we need, which is the tomb of Dran Tondo. Okay? Dran Tondo is a legend to kill Tusk and the Atlati warriors. You see, we all know that every Atlati warrior has some kind of companion beast-like animal. He has Loki, an Allosaurus. Shikoma has this large dire boar called Rowdy. If you remember Rursi, which was a cleric that's still back where we came from, Rursi had this other kind of large build like dinosaur, and everybody has them. And it's said that Dran Tondo was the only warrior mighty enough to tame a Vokilikon, which is their version of a T-Rex. And that was his creature, and he rode it into battles.
The Vokilikon, the one that also walloped Silawin to the point of
Exactly
taking on
right.
a new identity.
Exactly right. It put the hurt on you that time. That was that was an intense one. Remember that one? When it was coming through and we were all trying to hide and shit and thought we were lunch. And Danny's like, no one flies. No one flies. It'll find us. No one flies. Such great memories of that shit. So we know that there is an ancient weapon that is supposed to be the key to Dran Tondo being able to tame the Vokilikon. And it's buried with him in the tomb, and it's called the Vulcan. And it's named after the volcano from the materials that were made into it. It's pretty much called crystite. And it is a rare white gem-like material that is supposed to be some of the most powerful stuff to add to the edge of a weapon in existence. And it was made from the inside of the volcano here. And that spear rests within the tomb of Dran Tondo. And if we're able to do that, the way Kill Tusk and the way people understand it, either Kill Tusk or maybe Shikoma or somebody else that steps up. They thought it'd be Baraxel, but he left. Remember, he's inside the Seraphim. They could possibly tame any creature. And that would be an amazing addition to our fight against the Terrachua if it comes to that. That would be amazing. Okay? Plus the weapon just to be outright used against the creature. To destroy the abomination that the Nagtal have created. The Vulcan is a big deal. The fourth and final thing that one of these stone tablets, one of these rune stones or keystones can do. Make sure I'm reading this right. Just a minute. Okay, lastly. Okay, we said we opened up the gate. We created the land bridge. We were able to lower the water. Okay, the fourth one was that we can actually have the creature or Bakka help combat the Terrachua in hand-to-hand combat, like a true Godzilla movie. That is another option that can be saved and used with this creature if the rolls are right and if we choose to have that happen. Which is pretty much destruction now. If we end up having to fight a Terrachua, and I remember Kiltus talking about this briefly, and him and Valdera and Shikoma having a conversation about this. This is not some simple thing. This creature rips apart continents. okay? This is a creature that none of us have ever even dreamed of trying to take on. Everything that we could do to help us in defeating it or sending it back into the earth is going to be huge for us, life-saving for us, possibly. And each one of these options could have a huge and major role to play in that. It is up for you all to decide which tablet is placed first and which one of these things are enacted first. And every time that you put another one in, remember, the chances of the next one being able to happen get slimmer and slimmer. It's crazy shit. The old construct can only take so much, you know what I'm saying? But it creates a hell of a cool thing for a game. Sucks, but it makes it interesting. So, inside of this combined realm, this dimension, at that point, at the end of the story, last time, those two, Baraxel and Malin, went into the portal. And some of the last words from the two of them were, and then I'm going to give you guys a chance to respond. The ones that are there, Kiltusk is outside. So the only ones that are present right now are going to be Merc, which is in an almost complete mortal form. And it's going to be Silouan, played by Bella, and then Danny's character, Bast, was also there. Karsu, the Scion, had went outside with Kiltusk. They're all outside. Valdera was outside. So I think it's just you all in there. The three of you and the two of them. That sound about right? Okay. And we'll go ahead and start playing. After all that shit. Does that cover it pretty good for everybody? Does that bring us up to date? A lot of shit. It's really cool. I just get a kick out of it. So, now at this point, Baraxel walks over to the portal and he pulls down the Takari hood that he has, the large golden leopard-like creature that he wears as a headdress with the teeth hanging down over the eyes. And he pulls the hood back and you can see his black long hair and the shaved heads on how it's shaved on the side, and the scars and the fading paint on his face that looks like more of just a dark bloody smear at this point. His wounds have stopped bleeding, as Baraxel was in really bad shape before he decided to take this. And he holds his hand to his chest and he says, Yota, it's time. He looks over his shoulder. He looks over at Mechon, the withered old cleric that seems to have a new life sprung into him. And he looks at Baraxel and gives him a solemn yet determined nod. And as he turns to Merc that has the stone tablets in his hands, the old cleric goes over and takes his hand and places on the stone tablets, and then takes Mercandal's hand and sits it over there like an old man that's confiding in someone, pats the top of your hand, and Merc, you can feel him do this. And he pats your hand and you can feel him shaking a bit. He looks at you and he says, there's no one else to do this but you. You may have lived a long time, hero, but you yet have a long time to live ahead of you. I can't tell you which path to choose, but it's your path now to choose. Be considerate of that. Be the person I have seen you be in recent days in this place. I know your soul, Mercandal Steelcrest. I've seen things about you that you have yet to remember. There's strength in you, and courage. You'll need to find those things now, no matter what choices you make. He looks over and he goes, Come, Braxel. If anyone can find Umbriel, it would surely be us. And he looks back and he kind of smiles and he has a bit of water in his eyes. And he just kind of grins a little bit and he says, I thought I'd have more time with people. But it's the time that we buy you to give everyone more time that's been taken. We will meet again. And we will find Umbriel through this endless dream. We can find her.
I actually have something for you to give her.
The man tightens up his robe around his shoulder. He has one bare shoulder that kind of comes out, has that kind of old school Aztec kind of Mesoamerican look to him. And he tightens the shoulder and he kind of turns a little bit and he seems to be moving and getting a little bit stiffer now that you've seen him. Like he's given his body a chance to feel the wear that it's been through. But he still looks to be late 60s, early 70s. And he looks at you and he says, Another gift. He kind of smiles and he wipes that away and he says, What more could I possibly have than the hope that you bring?
So Silliman will approach them, and I think what she'll do is she has her Silliman feathers, one of which she's given to the Scion, and she has a few remaining. And Silliman is a girl's girl, and I think her heart cries for Umbriel.
Yes.
That idea of being lost and confused and kind of adrift without, like, not only with her own amnesia, but also her origins of being booted from where she was originally from. Yeah. And I think she will pluck out kind of one of the feathers and be like, when you find her, give her this and let her know that should she ever need a friend in this world, she has one. And she will give him one of the feathers. That is an indicator of the line of descent from the avians too. And then before, kind of after she hands it off, I think she may kind of lightly kind of pat both of their cheeks and say, I wish you safe passage. And I think that may be something that her uncle said to her one of the last times they were in the city. So not super overly thing, but that well wishes type thing.
That's cool. He takes that feather, and as you pat him, he's strong. He's rigid for an old man, but you can see that the long lines in his face crinkle with a bit of smile and delight from that gesture. His eyebrows, long and thick, kind of move with streaks of gray in them and things like that, and he clears his throat and he takes the feather and he holds it up to some of the natural radiant light from the stars that float in this place. And he looks at it and he says, she'll need friends. She'll need to be reminded, as I'm sure she is lost to this idea that she was once mortal, just like we all are. This will serve as a great reminder of that to her. I hope one day she can give this back to you. He takes it and he smiles, and he takes it and he puts it into the fold of a book. And he just kind of chuckles and looks at the book for a minute, finding some kind of irony, obviously, in the page that he's opened it to. And places the feather in there and closes the book on it. And takes it and puts it into a satchel down on his side. It locks what seem to be ancient blocks that are a mixture of granite and some kind of fine metal, and clicks it back together. And he looks at the rest of you and nods and turns and walks straight into the portal, disappearing without a moment of hesitation. And as he does, it's interesting because all the different things that he had that were kind of floating in space, like he had papers, scrolls that were floating in space. There were workbenches, there were gadgets, and all kinds of gears and things that he had almost like picked up and were working on things and left them alone because he understood how this place worked. And as he's doing that, all those things shake and move a little bit. And all of a sudden they all kind of whip together and begin to spin in some kind of similar circle and then whip in behind him and follow him in through the portal as if his thoughts will not be left behind. It's like all his creationism and everything of this nature is going to follow him. His workspace and his mind has become a part of this place now. It has become real in this space as only here it could. And now not only mentally but physically it follows him in through. Baraxel looks at that and he turns and he looks at you, Merc. And he says, I'd only ask one last thing of you. The boy.
Kiltusk.
He nods. He says, he doesn't know how great of a responsibility he holds. He is one of very few. You must protect him. He could be the last chance.
He is reckless, but he can be taught.
Then teach him. And we will go look for a future for him.
Merc puts out his hand to shake his.
As you do, you look up and you see some of the painted marks on him. Because he does some of the very same things that Kiltusk does. He draws spells on him at night and then will rub them off to enact them the next day. But a lot of that stuff has been faded and the blood is dried up on him. There's no more pain in him, Jeremy. But he is a firm, strong, Mesoamerican-like individual. He is a big boy. And he shakes your hand firmly. And as he takes the hand back, he looks at those dinosaur bone war claws that he normally wears, and he goes to put one on naturally before he ventures into this next place, and he hesitates. And he lets that bone claw hang on his side, and he just kind of firms up his fists and leans forward and walks through the portal. And you get just a glimpse when he goes through at what's on the other side. And it is vastness, Jeremy. In that moment that you can look through and see through that, and Sylvan, I'll say you were even able to get a glimpse. You see countless flying citadels and fortresses at war. It is almost like the battle that happened at the dawn of time between the angels and demons is reenacting itself in this place. You hear battle cries come through the thing. You see spears being thrown down. You hear demons chanting. You can feel the vibrations of the gravitational pull between the wind and the gravity fighting in this place. And you can see them going off into that great beyond. How much of it will they be able to resist and realize that they are just visitors here? And you also know this place can also become very real if you let it. They've got a hell of an adventure ahead of them. And although you have a little bit of that worry, you've given them hope, you've gave them a feather, and you've gave them a possibility, and you've united these two. And that's a better chance than they had before. And they also have Yota there with her. And you now have a scion that you wouldn't have. There are a lot of things moving right now. But for the moment, it would seem that you need to get back and take these 4 very precious stone tablets and figure out how in the fuck to use them. Okay?
By God, I figured out the gears. I'll figure out the tablets.
You did. Was that not fun though? Trying to figure out where those went and shit. That was such good stuff, man. And I can't build maps like that all the time, for Christ's sake. Jeez, that was some work. But now every time I create a map, I'm like, well, this is kind of half-ass. But it's it can't be all that. That took a long time, and that was a lot of fun though.
While we're on the subject of Plan A maps, this would be a great time to remind people that sometimes you lose maps, and it's devastating.
Yeah.
But you should never give up hope,
No.
because you can make some better ones.
Yes. Do you remember way back in the day when I lost that map of Brahmus's insides? You had that for maybe 2 sessions. And I had these awesome rooms and place where you went up to the 3 church windows looking things, and you were able to play in that space for a little bit, and then my computer crashed and wiped all of it out. And I literally about quit. I did too. I've tried to redo it twice. Can't do it. Can't bring myself to do it. I just move forward, man. The hell with it. So,
I have a quick question.
yeah, please go ahead. What's up?
So right now in kind of this space, standing at the kind of portal, it
On
is
a floating piece of ruin. It seems to be like some piece of either Merc's memories or Embriel's memories. We're not sure which one, but we're just kind of floating in space in between connecting dimension doors and shit, trying to get back somehow to reality.
So it's Merc, more humanoid, Baston, Silwan.
Yes.
Is there anyone else?
I'm going to say no. I look through it. I don't believe there's anyone else. And I'm going to roleplay Bass stuff here in just a minute before we move forward. Or if any of you have something to ask him.
Well, Silwan is pulling all, like, 2 of them, so then all 3 of them into, like, a group hug.
Okay. Awesome.
That's like a yank of pulling, like, both of them, just like probably with Merc. I imagine Merc is the tallest.
Yes, easily.
So,
and do me a favor, roll either some kind of charisma check, and if you can think of something that might be able to cohort these people into joining in on this, I want you to roll for that with advantage, with favor, which means you roll 1d20 and a 1d10, plus all your bonuses. And tell me how powerful of a number you were able to muster in this coming together of minds here.
You said charisma?
Well, that would be what I would say to do this.
Mm-hmm.
Either that, or you can just do it purely physically and try a dexterity check to sneak one and pull them all in real fast. But I would say this would be a charisma.
Yeah. So that was, you said, a d20 and a d10?
Yep, and then you can add your charisma modifier, or also add persuasion to it if you want to.
And persuasion is charisma.
Yeah, but the thing is, if you're proficient,
she is not.
Okay.
I don't think she is anyway. So charisma plus 3. I roll, so that is a total of 21.
That's not bad. Jeremy, how does Merc respond to a 21 charisma, pulling everybody in and doing some kind of, and give me some theatrics as to how you say this, what you grab. Sell this shit, Bella. Sell it.
So I think what she does is she watches as the 2 figures disappear into the portal of another dimension with a vastness unseen to any mortal eye. Yeah. And, sitting in this kind of kaleidoscopic version of reality, kind of sitting of knowing what is around the horizon, having the potential fate of worlds in their hands in the tablets, and a war zone being on the outside, and kind of this little notion of like handing off a feather, though insignificant, is like ties her to this this ethereal being. And I think she's kind of overcome in that moment of just like, okay, just like needing like a okay, like a bit of grounding or a bit of whatever the case is. So pulling Bast in with one arm and with Merc with the height, it's her single wing that stretches beyond her arm's reach and kind of goes to kind of pull in Merc as well. Without like kind of little explanation of just kind of being like a mate, like thank you for being a little source of peace in the chaos, I think is her intention, and
That's
needing to
awesome.
ground to connect with that peace
And this has a little bit of
before.
those
Yeah,
"thank you for being there, guys" kind of vibe to it as well. I get you. Yeah,
yeah. hmm
I get that. Okay,
Like that
so
little bit of like resolute before, like, all right, now to take on the rest of the fucking world, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah, yeah. That's right. Uh, Merc, how do you respond to this?
At this point, Merc's not really off put by it.
Yeah,
He, I think we've discussed at this point, he's a little bit more human now than he has
you're
been.
feeling all this, and it is you're not quite still used to feeling again, but you're getting there.
hmm
And this is nice. The things that Bella was saying just now about Silowin's intention and that you find it's easier for you to pick up on those nuances than it might have been for Merc a year ago.
Yep.
You can get that this is a thank you. You can get
Thank
that
you
this
for
is a
being a
we've got
friend.
this. You can get from the feeling of this that this is like we've made it this far, haven't we? You can get those vibes from this. And that feels normal again on some kind of level, and that in itself is amazing.
Yep. Yes, he is definitely not off put by it. And if anything, he's embracing it just as well
Yeah.
as for being the very stoic individual that he is. He is slowly being reminded that he does have a heart.
In that moment, Bastille feels rigid at first, and in a moment you can see his hood go down, and you can just see his nose, and you can hear him take a deep breath in, a nasally breath, and you can just hear him and exhale. And when he does, Merc, you feel a hand on the back of your left shoulder. And Silowin, you feel a pat in the upper of your right shoulder. And you can feel him give a knowing pat and just sink a little. His shoulders go slack for a minute. He just exhales a breath of all this. And he doesn't look up out of the hood. And he says, you can tell he looks over towards you, Merc, but he still doesn't look out from underneath the hood. And you can hear a still can't get used to this. And he says, but with any luck, hopefully, this will be the new normal.
You'll get used to it.
He nods like this, and he can say, your story's not over, and I'm glad you chose to come.
Wouldn't miss it for the world.
I'll hold you to that. And he looks up. Go ahead. What's that?
He says, I'll hold you to that. Silowin adds, I will too.
Nice. Very nice. With that, he looks at the tablets and he pulls the hood back and he gets business again. He frowns and kind of looks at you and goes, we have to get you and that out of here and put to use. Because I don't need to bring this up, but there are other parts of the world that could possibly need us other than this one. This needs fixed. or else everything else falls apart from here. This is where the thread has been pulled the hardest. He goes, but there's something not right in New Gemdar, and I've known about it for days now. There's something happening there. And he pulls out a book, and he says, I share this with Vander. And I write messages that only... I mean, he nods because he knows you guys kind of know he's a part of an organization now that he didn't really want you to know about. It's been brought to light to a degree between you all. And he goes, scholar information. And my last entry, I received half a message, and then the page burst into flame. Something's happened either to or around Vander.
Well, before you worry too much, remember that things tend to blow up around Vander. I wouldn't quite consider it a cataclysm just because he hasn't had the chance to message you back. He might just be fixing a wall.
He kind of smirks and he says, trust me, I'm not arrogant enough to think that I play that big a role in Vander's mortality of any kind whatsoever, but at the same time, it's my fault. He let me in. And because he's brought me into this world of realization, I'm also, and quite possibly could be, his weakest link now. Every bit of faith that powerful people have in the new guy is always a weak link until things shape up. And I'm working to try not to be that link. That's why we're here. That's why I'm going to see this through. But Merc, I don't know how much longer I can be here. When that time comes, and I won't have time to explain other than when we're in a place that maybe has no time, right? And he kind of chuckles and looks around. He goes, but when that time comes and I'm not there, just know that there are other things going on in the world, other threats. And maybe I've got the only needle, you know?
You don't have to tell me. I'll know where to find you.
You'll never see me coming. He just kind of smiles. He says,
Whether coming or going, I think we need to figure out how to get out of here first.
He goes, well, I was thinking about that. I know there are a lot of spells, and I'm not advanced enough to do that kind of thing, but if we have the control over this place that I think we have, I mean, you created a thing, we've all had that. Why is it we have to go to an actual door to leave here when we could just bring the door to us? We've seen it. We've been there. He says, Merc, you know about more rooms in this place than I could ever unlock extra hidden doors. He looks around.
It's funny that you mentioned doors.
What's that?
It's funny that you mentioned doors. Because my first thought is Brahmus has come through for me once here when I had to make that platform for Silouan because she was floating around and floundering like a fish.
Right, exactly.
So my thinking is
Right.
my thinking is see if he'll respond and help me with a way back.
He goes, you know how Danny is, and he kind of scratches in, he goes, and that's the thing. He says, we had to get to this place because this isn't something that you've seen, Merc. And he looks over at some column, and he looks over at the stonework and stuff like that. He goes, this is part of the war. Because I've had visions of my own of what we saw through that portal just now. I've seen through the eyes of warrior angels that had no life left in them. we're on a piece of that now. We had to go to somebody else's place. And that's why we had to traverse and find our way here.
If you remember,
But the gate to get back, that's a place you created, Merc. You just need to help us. You just need to have it find us. He goes, am I making sense? I mean, I think that makes sense, right?
it does. But you also need to remember, I'm not the only life Brahmus has experienced. In a moment of desperation, Brahmus may very well remember things that I don't.
Are we saying that Brahmus is a living thing, or is it just a vessel to contain the thoughts of others? You talk about this as if it's its own being. I didn't think that's the way it worked.
All I can tell you is I'm sure it will continue ticking even if I'm not in it. It may not move, but it still lives and breathes.
So what's the first step? And he kind of ruffles his shirt and he looks around. He's looking at the ground. He scuffs his foot and he says, "Do we just think about the place, or do we? What Silouan, what spell did you use to be able to get in and out of here before? What creates the stairwell? What is that does this?"
There wasn't a spell. It kind of just happened, which is very inconvenient in this current situation, if I recall.
And when you say that, oh shit, that's hilarious. You just said that, Jeremy. Look up the spell Word of Recall. I think that's the fucking spell that does it. And you just saying the word recall at the end of that is making Bastille like, wait a minute.
You and up to 5 willing creatures within 5 feet of you instantly teleport to a previously designated sanctuary. You and any creatures that teleport with you appear in the nearest unoccupied space to the spot you designated when you prepared the sanctuary. If you cast a spell without first preparing a sanctuary, the spell has no effect. But I think it would be well assumed that
Yeah.
the inside of Brahmus is definitely a sanctuary.
Yeah.
I
So
mean,
here's-
if,
Go
like,
ahead.
so part
Fuck
of
yeah,
this
man.
world has something to do with speaking things or connecting things into existence, right?
Yeah.
And if it is tied to the, like, recall spell, and it needs to be tied to a sanctuary, if anything would be a sanctuary, especially coming out of Silouan's mouth, it would be her little room and Brahmus's tower, the one that I made a little, I think, like, in the Sims version, like, literally a year ago or so.
So when you say that, I want to roll.
Also, by the way, Merc is getting a swift, light jab to the gut the minute they're to safety. Of flop around like a fish.
That's outstanding. I want to roll for something for Bastille as you're doing this, and he's thinking about that spell. That was so awesome that you used that exact word. And that made him think, well, of course. Well, of course that's it. So, first off, do either one of you have the ability now, or will ever have the ability in the future to be able to cast that spell?
It's a cleric spell.
Shit. Okay. So, I'll say, Bass is asking you this. It's like, do you have that in your repertoire, and how? And you would say this to him how? Like, this is something that a holy person needs to do. This is beyond my knowledge, or some shit like that.
Yeah, pretty well. I know a great many things, but unfortunately, that isn't one.
Okay.
Unfortunately, although it's part of the Maidens of Song, that was the higher level maidens.
I had an Arcana check of a 21. There's a chance. And he takes that book, and he kind of gets a look on his face. And he opens up that book. and you can still see the burnt edge of the last page. And he looks at you, and he kind of cocks an eyebrow, Merc, and he goes, "You think Vander's just repainting walls? The burnt page was nothing."
Never know. I've lived a long time, but I've learned to be a little bit more optimistic. Possibly to a flaw.
He gets out a quill and he starts to write into the book. He's writing in a request. And he knows that Vander has that vast library and a way of being able to do and has privy to all kinds of ancient arcana and stuff like that. And he's going to ask him to write him up a scroll of Word of Recall. And write that and send it back to him in the book. That's his idea. Now, if you guys have another idea, fucking go at it. But that's what I'm working on right now. So, scrolls, if I have a scroll that's a Word of Recall, even if I'm not a cleric, am I able to use a scroll that I have?
I believe it has to match your class. Let me look real quick.
Okay. I know there's different abilities that certain characters have where you can, I mean, you know, because the scroll Fireball wouldn't be worth a damn to have if you could already cast Fireball. You know what I mean? In my mind.
If the scroll is on your class's spell list, you can read the scroll and cast its spell without providing any material components. Otherwise, the scroll is unintelligible.
Ah, shit. Well, that's the best idea Bastille has. So what are you guys coming up with?
My thoughts are going to see if I can't get Brahmus to respond and provide us with a link back. Similar to how he did that platform.
So you can do it on your own, or you can have you and Silwyn focus on the same place at the same time and try to materialize it because you guys have been in similar places before. So I will let you team up and have favor on a roll if you would choose to do that. Go ahead.
I
Bella.
think that you like me thinking about the Silwyn study thing. I actually
Look
grabbed
at you.
it. So this is like the little Silwyn study that was created at one point. So she is meditating on this sort of tower image of kind of that little safe zone that she created inside kind of the Brahmus castle.
That is awesome. That is awesome. Give yourself a point of inspiration for doing that, by the way. Because that was a pretty epic little play there.
Because I just remembered I had it.
I just want to say this, Colby. All I'm saying is people are upping their game and you're looking a little dull. Look at Jeremy. Look, see this? You see what's happening? Jeremy and Bella are embodying, you know what? I can do this shit too. No, I'm just going to leave mine the way it is. Because I got a library picture too. So, look, see, now we're colorful and everything's awesome. He's like, and that's what Colby's thinking of right now. His character's outside fighting. He's like, I miss my dinosaur. That's all it is.
Well, I mean, so even if you want, because I know you had the inspiration, but even like in-game version of like, I'm trying to see if her lute or her musical instrument is picking up. There it is. Like there, like even like all of her personal affects that she's created, she's like deliberately thinking of like each and every single one, trying to give like the etheric space as much information to draw from.
It's pretty fucking sweet. You guys roll something and tell me what you're rolling, and I'll tell you if you can use imagination to get back to where it is you need to be.
Can Jeremy make the roll and then I add
Yes,
points
Bella,
to
we
it?
know
I don't
your
trust.
phobia of making
I
important
rolled terribly.
It's not untrue. It's not untrue. No pressure, Jeremy, but it's either you or Bella, so you need to decide how you want to do it. It's with favor.
How about I would think almost a persuasion. Like I'm reaching out to Brahmus.
Oh, fuck yeah. I like that. That's
Like,
interesting.
hey, buddy, you've come through for me once. I need you again.
It's like, I know the last name. I just need you to flip to the right page in the yellow book. Okay, I just need you to show me. Yeah. By the way, for everyone watching, a yellow book used to be the phone book that you would look up people's phone numbers in. Back in the day, you could find these hanging in a thing like a phone booth, or possibly you'd get them in the mail once a year. Strong people rip them in half to prove how badass they are, but
But some
really,
of
they
your
were just used to
grandmas sat on them as a booster seat in the car.
a lot of times that
Drive
happened
on.
too. Yes, but anyway,
All
moving
right.
on.
So, first legitimate use of my dice tower. We will find out if this is cursed.
Very nice. Okay.
You said it
Cursed
is
or
with favor,
blessed.
correct?
Cursed or blessed.
Cursed or blessed. I like it.
D20.
Come on,
There's
where
a
we at?
12.
And what's a D10?
D10. There's a 10.
So you got
22.
a natural 22 plus your bonuses, which are...
Plus 4.
That beats 25.
26.
26? Yeah, it works, bud. I can't even fucking fight that. That's great. And the idea is very true. I mean, you know, the things that Bastille said make a lot of sense. We were trying to get to a place that wasn't from your mind in here. And that's why we jumped through doors and all these different memories and shit. You're trying to get back to somewhere that you know.
Mm-hmm.
And you can do that with a 26 all day. So, as you do that, as this piece that you're on is rolling and moving around, okay? And I don't know if you guys know the scene or not, but it's at the end of the never-ending story. And they are floating and seeing the very last pieces left of Fantasia. And they are rotating around in this void-like space. And in between chunks of rock and things, all of a sudden they twist and move. And it is brought into the distance, and you're able to see a passageway that looks just like that stairwell that you guys traverse in and out of to get to the outside of Brahmus. And it shows up and turns, and there is a light emanating from it, and you realize that that piece is right there, and you can reach out to it. It starts to move sideways around, and as it drifts up very slowly, almost like a boat coming up to dock, the actual pieces of ground hit together, the chunk of courtyard and ruin that you're on that still has that portal there that the two heroes went into a few minutes ago. As these two pieces of earth collide and the chunks of that place that has that stairwell in it hits the landmass that you're on, there's no sound for 3 seconds. And all the little pieces break off as the two pieces collide, and then 4 or 5 seconds later, you hear the sound of earth grinding together. And those pieces only go so far, then they drift off into space and gravity. And you can simply step from the piece of land you're on, that piece of reality, onto the other and enter the stairwell. It's bitching, guys. It's bitching stuff. God, we never thought we'd be here. Who's going first and what are they doing? Bastille looks at this and he jumps over pretty quick and looks at it, and he holds his hand out to Silhouette. He's like, come on, we don't know how long this is going to be like this. Stay focused. And he says that to Merc as if he's afraid that some other thought's going to get in there and it's going to start creating other things and stuff like this. He's nervous. But he's wanting Silhouette's hand. He's telling you to stay focused. Okay? What are you guys doing?
Silhouette takes his hand.
He pulls you across, and as he's pulling you, he says, at least we weren't underwater this time. And as he says that, he looks over to you, and I want you to roll me a concentration check, Merc.
Okay.
I'll give you a chance to respond just a minute, Bella. I know you need to.
Oh no, both of them are getting a swift, light jab to the torso the minute they get to safety.
We don't have no kidneys left. This girl's vicious, man. Yes, Jeremy, what's up? What have you done? What have you done?
I think I spoke too soon on whether this thing might be cursed or not. Or it might just be true neutral. Because that's a 3 plus bonuses.
You guys need to hurry. With that, you see the piece start to drift off as if it's becoming a distant thought. You find yourself thinking about all the things that has happened in here, and instead of being able to focus on that landmass being there, it starts to drift off and move just as it is in your thoughts. You guys need to hurry. By the time you see this and you go to jump across there, Merc, there's a 2-foot separation in between the two land masses already. Bastille goes over and he holds his hand onto the railing and he's looking out and he's reaching out. He goes, "Come on now."
Yeah, Merc takes off. And I would almost think, like he would think for a second of putting in that overdrive, like he would for Brahmus to make it where he could move just that little bit quicker. But it's like he goes to do it and then he's like, oh shit.
Right. Well, my daughter just made me realize I haven't had a bite of the grilled cheese she made me an hour and a half ago. So I need to do this now because she's mad at me.
Wow, I can't wait for you to enjoy your cheese sandwich.
I know, right? Ready? That's a good sandwich.
Good.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Hey to Brian Stutter!
Whew! I took a real bite. That was a lot. There's a lot of cheese in there. Holy crap. Wow.
Oh, you
All
know
right.
good.
Wow, that was really good. Anyway, grilled cheese, man. There you go.
I have
Thank
an
you.
idea.
Well, you want to make grilled cheese too? You should just do it. Tell you what you do. We're going to take our first break while you think about the grilled cheese. Do you want something you would like to add to this scene before we do that?
You know, how about we simmer on the grilled cheese and then we'll talk about it after we get back.
Okay, let me get hurry to hit our pause here.
Cue intermission. We'll see you after commercial break.
Entirety of the public witnessed as Brian ate his grilled cheese.
The
It's
most
been so
important
long.
thing we were waiting for. Of course.
Oh, I know I was getting ready to screw up here. Hold on.
This
on the wrong
whole
thing.
Leads up to
So I
Brian
want to pause
eating his
this.
grilled cheese.
Whatever. Hold on. I got to make sure I do this right or else I'm going to screw it up. I want to pause that one. I want to pause this one. Okay. We're going to eat grilled cheese and talk about shit. We'll be back in 15. Later. I think we're back. Yep. I'm always impressed when I hit that and get it right. It's ridiculous. Okay, let me bring up zoom over here so I know which camera to look at. Oh, look, there it is. There's the real deal. Okay, then. Let me crunch you just a bit. And there it is. Wonderful stuff. Absolutely. Okay. So, now that we're back, you guys have jumped quickly into the spiraling stairwell that shows the lit up portal on the bottom of it. It starts at that round handwell. And that'll at least get you out of here because you can envision that place in this place. Now, if you were able to go back into Brahmus, okay, that's a different story. That's going to take different kinds of stuff sometimes. You guys, I don't think have quite ironed out exactly how that works yet as far as a foolproof plan. But the one thing we need to consider here is, Merc, when you go through the staircase, are you piloting Brahmus and you're getting back to the main room? Or are you simply walking out of him and being immortal on the outside with everybody else? You know you've got the tablets. You know where you've got to go. How are you wanting to do this? Good question, right?
I would think in this particular moment, I would probably hand the tablets off.
So you can take Brahmus out with you.
Yes.
Or carry him with you. You can hand him out later. Or hand him off now.
Well, you know,
You want to
I
give
was
the bastard
thinking that I
game.
might be better off having Brahmus handle the tablets, but now that I'm thinking about it, they're fragile, they're old. This might be a job for human hand.
Okay. So
So I'll just keep
as-
him with me, pilot Brahmus, and then when we need him, I'll poof out.
okay, so with that, in that moment of haste, Bastille is ushering Silouan to hurry down the stairway, and as he turns to run too, are you stopping him and handing him the tablets?
No, I'm keeping him on me until we
Okay,
need.
okay. So their destination is to go outside and to get out of here. When Bastille runs through, you're envisioning going to the main control room of Brahmus, correct?
Yep.
The three, the past, present, and future glass and all that stuff. Okay. So where that puts you guys is back in the present day, and that puts you all in front of the lit up Ambriel Seraphim in that great main room where you fought that large water elemental and all those things. It puts you right back in that place. Okay? Now it's funny, when you get here, Bastille steps out right behind you, Silouan, and you see him looking over into the corner automatically. And he's just shaking his head. And he looks over at you and he says, I can't believe I missed that. I wonder, where's. Merc stayed inside. I should have seen that. That's the first thing he says. And Silouan, what Bastille is referring to is he looks over in the distance in that corner. And if you recall, the old Makati cleric actually come up out of the water over there, and we followed that back in. And in the past, we went under the water and found an ancient treasure room back there. Remember? And I remember Danny saying very clearly, we're going to have to revisit that. Because there was a lot of stuff in there. Now, who knows what's in there now? Who knows if that's been found, discovered, pilfered? Who knows? But that's his first reaction. Being the treasure hunting rogue that he is, he just looks over in that corner where those stairs, you can barely see him underneath the shadowy surface of the water. He's like, how in the fuck did we miss that? Right? And to tell you the truth, it was there all along. It was, I had it faded down on the map where you could barely see it, but it was in the top right corner of that chamber. So you guys could have easily found that. Well, not easily, but it was there. You just had no reason to go up and look in the corner. Because as soon as you went into this main room, there was a seraphim. So that was more important at the time. Are you saying anything in this moment, Silouan? Do you have anything to act on?
Brahmus is here with us, or is the actual vessel somewhere else?
He's the vessel is there.
I
And at
think
that,
yeah,
go ahead.
I think she'll probably look over at him and be like, "Hi, buddy."
And at that moment, Jeremy, when Merc runs into that room and you're trying to get things going and pedestals lift up out of the floor and you start controlling things, like we said, it's almost like Pacific Rim. You know, you stand on your runes and you kind of float up into the air a little bit and you're reaching out and touching runes that are in the air and you're seeing those three church windows open. You see Silouan real close in frame. In that window, just
I'd like to think she hears like a very subtle I'm coming as he's like jogging to the main room.
you hear that echoing from the Sony speaker system built into Brahmus. As it comes in there, it's Dolby. It's coming in. You can hear him, and he is then present, and you see that solid visor light up with arcane energy inside. You can hear certain things almost like when you hear turbines kick on and different pieces of stone and metal start grinding, and you can see some lights shining from underneath of the plates of armor that construct him, and you can see him reanimating and coming to.
She didn't say hi, buddy, to Merc. She said hi, buddy, to Brahmus, and when the visor goes out, it's and there's Merc.
Very nice. Very nice. Very good. Respond to that however you like to. He doesn't know what to say. That's awesome. Sometimes, like I've always said, sometimes no reaction is the best reaction ever. Because you're just like, cool. So, as that happens, Bastille says, so I'm assuming you thought it would be better to keep them with you, which now that I think about it makes sense. He's kind of nodding, and he looks back down through the hallway, and he gives like a look right and left as he puts his hand inside of his stuff to grab a dagger, and you can see him kind of flipping it between his fingers, looking. And you might see a spirit or two walking along some of the upper ledges in this place. But none of them seem to be paying attention to you all. They seem to be animated. They're not on any kind of alert. They just seem to be whispers of the past that are in this place. And he looks and he kind of tucks it back away. And he thinks about it twice. And as he pulls his hands down, you can see a little bit of radiant energy kind of encompass around his hands in both hands. And he has daggers in both hands. He goes, just in case. We ready to get out of here? Okay.
I am. But one thing before we go.
And he's still looking around at these spirits that are floating around. He goes, yeah, what is it?
I'm going to turn to the other construct.
Which pulses silently in the distance up on that pedestal. The energy from the 4 beacons has died down now, but there is still an illumination to the eyes of those 4 totems.
It is within reach, though, right? I can walk up and touch the construct.
Absolutely, just walk right up to it, yeah.
I'm going to do so, even if only theatrically so. Just kind of, because at this point, being this close to her construct, I already know that there is some kind of link between Brahmus and it.
She has spoken to you before.
So I'd like to think that Merc, kind of in the chamber, looks around, just says, fight your battles well. May you come back and find the peace you're looking for. And with Brahmus, I'm going to reach out and put a hand on the construct, and I'm going to cast Bless, just as a symbol of good measure, before we step out and walk away.
Do me a favor, roll a spell casting thing to show me the potency of that, like we've talked before. Which in this case would be like a spell DC roll.
It's a 15 plus bonuses.
Do you remember? Remember, that's the second book over. The first one is your attack. The second one over is your spell DC. Remember?
Oh, yeah.
Middle of your character sheet, you'll have a book.
17 is the DC.
Okay.
Modifier +4. Oh, spell attack. There we go. So 26.
That's awesome. With that, the moment you do that, you get a flash vision. And I have to do this. That's part of what this game's about. We roleplay shit, right, guys? It's not all about hack and slash. And when you touch and you do the bless, it's almost like you are opening something up, and you know that she's spoken to you. Ambriel has. In very distant whispering words, as if she wasn't sure she was actually having a conversation with a person, or she was just lost in another part of herself. But when you do that, you get a flash of an image. As if it brings you, for just a second, to wherever she's at in there. For a moment, okay? And what you see is you as Brahmus looking at the wife you left behind and the kids that you would have had from the distance. That's a scene you had a long time ago when you first started the character. Do you remember this?
Yep.
But in that moment, you're back in you for just a second, and you look up, and the hand of a strawberry blonde angel in battle armor is on your shoulder, looking down at you with a look of sympathy. Because now she has to stumble through your memories as well, Jeremy. And she is just now sharing this one with you. She is there where you once were. And she says, "This is new." And then you're back. In that instant. You went to where she was for just a moment, and she was in one of your memories. Which is an interesting twist.
Mm-hmm.
Because it works both ways. You know what I'm saying?
Yep. I've been in her shoes. Now she's been in mine.
Yes. And she will possibly continue to be for a bit. Learning. Okay? And that may be a good dose of humanity. And that gives you comfort to a degree. It makes you think about the life you've led since you've been dealt this card. I'm curious, how do you feel about that? Are you worried? Or are you glad that someone that matters can see your struggle? What's the initial... I'm curious.
I think to a degree he's slightly relieved. There are memories that he holds that he shares with no one. And that is a burden. To know that someone else will experience those and will know the pain that he felt in those moments.
That's interesting.
The joy that he felt in those moments.
Huh.
I think it would be almost comforting to know that in a way he is validated in his holding on to those very tiny things.
That's interesting. That's true. I'm just kind of come up with that in the last minute. It just makes sense, though. That's how it happened. Nice. Okay. So you guys are navigating back through the temple, which shouldn't be much of a problem, towards the entrance, correct? To leave out the gates in which you fought so hard to get to, correct? Or is there anything else you guys are doing? Because it is D&D and it is up to you. Okay. And it's also not always D&D. I'm just used to saying that.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
I will, bud.
We came in here for a weapon, right? The Vulcan, I think it was called.
You found the ancient Vulcan forge, what could possibly reanimate it, or you found some other swords, but this was not where Vulcan was kept.
Okay.
If you remember, when he was talking about the 4 tablets, there is an ancient tomb called the Tomb of Drantondo.
Okay.
And the actual Vulcan rests with his body in
That's
tomb.
correct. Okay. I remember that now. This was a step in that direction.
I know it's weird. It's a lost story. But yeah, that's what's going on. So, you guys are boot scooting out of this place. Okay. So, as you go through, there is no apparent sound of battle coming out of the main entrance door to this place. It is open. There are the remnants of dead, large plant-like spiked arms that are in the gateway, as that was a spell that was cast but withered, and you all had defeated it when you were trying to enter this place. There's like appendages just kind of lay there limp and lifeless like dead plants as they reach through the doorway to try to push the doors open and stop you guys from getting in initially. And as you exit the place and walk out into the sunlight, you can't help but notice a very bright, brilliant light down at the very base of the actual temple. Okay? Coming from where you guys would have initially started up that long freaking stairway to make it into this place. You guys with me? Okay. I'm going to bring up a map and show you guys where you're at and what's going on. Okay? So let me go here. Let's do this. Yeah, there. Oh my gosh, it's like HD. Wow. Let me do some magic here real quick and bring you guys into this. Because you're not there yet, I have to make it happen. Okay, I think it was this main passageway right here. Okay, so let's go to the gang. I love that. Let's
Brian, if it'd be all right by you, before we exit this temple, I would like to bless Bast and oh my god, I was trying to say Azara. Oh, good lord, I'm so tired.
Good luck. You're doing great. You're doing great. There's you. Here's Silouan.
I would like to bless the three of us before we walk out, because my last recollection of the outside was a very hot, ongoing battle.
Makes sense to me. Just 1 second. Let me doll off some of these other players.
Still, there we go. Jesus.
I mean, their knowledge of the outside world is basically what I saw through Loki's eyes.
Yep. The last thing I knew about what was going on out there was Kiltusk and Valdera beating feet out.
Yeah, which they were. Which they majorly were. You got this. I'm almost done. I've got... She is not there. She is there. Baraxel is inside, so he will not be there. He will not be there. I've almost got this done. Azara is definitely not there because she's plan B. She has no idea what the hell's going on. Let's get rid of this.
I'm just picturing like the narrative third dimension space of like if there is like if the map was like real time of just as sort of like blipping into the reality of plan A before quickly like blipping out, just being like, what the hell?
Like some Loki shit going on.
Yeah.
Made a wrong turn at Albuquerque.
Right. Okay, so.
I'm like, well, who was that strange woman? Why was she carrying a head of cabbage?
So, do you guys want to have a marching order by chance, or are you guys just good to do whatever here?
I'm walking out ahead of everybody.
Okay, got that.
Because if somebody's going to come swinging, they're going to hit me, and I ain't going to want to do that.
Okay, I'll put Silouan.
I think I charged, 80 foot in one turn and absolutely mollywomped somebody against a brick wall heading up these stairs.
Word of the day, mollywomped. I like it. Jesus, Jeremy. All right, so it looks like.
I just remember there was a lot of movement, and then somebody got absolutely just thrown against a brick wall.
And you'll see that these are new character tokens.
And they look wonderful.
With the new pictures that we have rights to and all that good stuff. Merc, I don't have your physical form yet, but what I do have is I have your spiritual one, which is that one, and then I have this. Just 1 second. Which is who you are currently. There you go, buddy. Okay. So, very cool. Silouan's looks freaking... That's just good stuff, man. The good stuff. And Bass new one. Pretty cool. Pretty good stuff. Very happy with it. So, you guys show up and you were outside and the rain is coming down. Okay? The pitter-pat of it and stuff is all over the place. Decent amount of cloud coverage over this place. You get barely spots of the sun. Remember, you guys came in here very early morning to take care of this, and now you're getting around 8 o'clock when the sun's really starting to come out and come through. But these storm clouds are just in it to win it. They're not going away. Okay? Let me bring zoom back up here again so I have somewhere to look. Just 1 second. And there we go. Beautifully done. Okay, so you're looking down the main passageway. Oh, by the way, as soon as you do that, you hear a familiar sly voice that comes from the north, just hanging off the ledge. And it's Celine. someone you haven't seen in quite a while. And you hear a voice snidely say, "Well, hello, dearies. It's glad to see we've got done playing inside and come back to get the real work done. I take it everything went well. There are less of you than there were."
Some have set off
Bastille,
for a journey we couldn't follow.
he says, "I understand. Things for the moment seem to be scored away, but there is something happening at the foot of the pyramid. I'll stay here. I still have quite a bit of examining to do." And as that happens, Celine brings Isadora into existence, which is her bird. And as you watch Isadora fly up into the distance, you see the greatness of the large creature that you'd almost forgot was here. As she flies up, and gets higher and higher. And you can see once again the large titanous construct of Bakka. The lights glowing as it stands, casting a large shadow of the rain crashing down around it.
I think this is the first time those two you get to see it.
Yeah. This is the actual construct itself.
Did you change the model?
Yes.
I thought so.
A little bit. Not a lot. A little bit. And it is massive as Isadora flies over the head of the creature. Taking Owen Shikoma over to the side. Talking with an Ozoman shaman. Trying to sort out details as the creature pulses with energy. As you guys look down the central stairway, you see Karsu up on one of the stone railings to the side, trying to avoid having to jump over all the great chasms and things that have rocked this place and started to cave in. And as she looks over her shoulder to you, you get a mental message, all of you at the same time, that says, Kiltrusk is in trouble. He has awakened something. We'll need you all. And as you take it in, Kiltusk, still hanging off the side of the head of Bakka after hitting it, the raindrops coming down and creating brilliant flashes of light as a beam shines from the jewel within the spinning, rotating head on a pedestal, and shines brightly, piercing through the gravity well and shadows of the corrupt Ozoman, and illuminates the jewel that had sat dormant at the base of the water temple until now. Okay. Colby, almost bloodied from this, when that light shines from the mouth of that thing, this Ozoman right here flips out and runs for the hills. It is not here to compete with the will of Bakka. And when this happens, the creature is overwhelmed with fear and climbs down off of said pillar and takes off full dash to get the hell out of here the best that it knows how. Okay? On the other side of things, the light beam comes through, and this creature that is still keeping the gravity well kept looks over top of its shoulder and holds up a hand, and as it gets into this beam of light, pulls back from it, recoils, and roars. Ah! and roars in despite of it and looks back up at you and begins to move the gravity well towards you, trying to push you back off of Bakka. Just a minute, let me see which number it is here. Okay. And he begins to send it spinning towards you. Now, I'm going to give the people at the top a chance to do something here. You are a ways away, guys. Okay? What is it the group is doing as you're able to look down this large central passageway and take in all these things? I'll give you one other thing. Jeremy or Bella, guys, give me a perception check, please.
Both of us?
Yes. You have such a hard time, Billy. Your face, you're just like, Brian, you asked me to roll dice, and I don't do dice rolling.
I am not. I mean, I rolled a 3. I'm trying to see what my perception is, but I don't think.
Let me just go ahead and say this. It's not that high. Okay.
No.
Moving on. Bella, listen, dear, I'm sorry. I'm just sorry. Jeremy, please tell me you did a little better. You are muted, which makes good for the video.
Much like my my luck and rolls with the mic, that was a natural 1.
Yep.
The
Moving
thing, I
on.
walked out and I haven't seen the sunlight in a little bit. It's like, God.
So now, jazz hands, Kobe.
I quit.
Your time to shine.
Time to shine. I just take this
Me and my boys gonna fuck you up. I rolled a 1. I rolled a 1.
Well, I had something to say, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, all of us are just blinded by the sun.
I knew exactly what video you were referencing to.
Yeah.
Scare me.
It's so good.
Yeah.
It's such a good song. Such a good song.
So, Bast and the Oblivious 2 are at the top of the temple. What would you guys like to do, since there is obviously nothing else around of note?
Well, didn't she point out that Kiltusk was like nearby?
Yes, and you were able to see a bright light down there. If it wasn't the most bright, brilliant thing around, you wouldn't have noticed it with your rolls.
Fair enough.
And that's it.
But so, am I personally aware of Kiltusk being down there dangling off the ledge?
You know that you can see. No, you just imagine that he's part of the issue. You know,
Okay.
you can see Karsu standing on this ledge over here, but as to where he's at, you have to just assume that he's near the bright thing in trouble.
Cool.
That's all you get.
Valdera is nowhere nearby, is she?
Nope, not with those rolls.
Damn it.
I mean, she might be, but you know.
Well, my first instinct is she's like, hey, Kiltusk. Then there's a bright light. And I'm like, all right, going that way.
Yeah. So that's the play, huh? Okay. Running straight down the stairwell?
Yep.
Does anyone want to teleport, or does anyone want to dash, or tell me how far you can go on dashing?
Is it possible to just aerial assault straight down?
I mean, how far can you do that? How many feet? Jesus.
See.
I think you can dash further than you can aerial assault.
I got a 70-foot dash, which is what I'm doing.
Yeah, you can aerial
Let's
assault
see.
70 foot.
Aerial assault.
I think it's half the movement to go up.
A maximum of 50 feet. Though, what is it? Gale assault. No, not gale assault. What's it called? Bolting lance. That's what I was thinking of.
Oh,
I think can do. How many? I don't know. Let's see. I'm trying
I'll
to
tell you
think.
what. You're dashing, Jeremy.
Yeah, and I
We'll
tell
do
you
that
what,
first, and then Bella, if you figure that out, you tell me, and I will move you accordingly.
Cool. Thank you.
Because I can't move
Dude.
3 pieces at once. You have a minute here.
do I feel like 70 foot could get me in my where I need to be?
It's going to get you a hell of a lot closer by an amount of 70 foot. How's that feel?
Because if I don't think I can at least get to that statue with the glowy bright light on it, I will use an overdrive for speed.
Okay, well, we're going to... Okay, you're going to make me do this. I hate to do this, but here it comes. It's the grid.
Uh-oh.
It's the grid, blah, 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 blah. So, now that we've went ahead and broken out the realism, which is the grid, let's count out the feet, shall we? Let's do it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. Now let's zoom in, because we're getting there. 55, 60, 65, 70. And where that puts you in proximity is 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, roughly 25 to 30 foot away. That is where a dash will get you. So saith the grid. Let it be law.
Well, that'll put me close enough anyway to get me a good idea of what's going on.
Yes. I would even say you could even do another check at that point, but we're going to wait till everyone else is done moving too. Because that
Can
one
I-
just has to last. Yes, Bella, what's up?
Can I read you to see if I'm understanding this correctly?
Yes, please. Hey,
So,
if we can't help each other, what the hell are we doing here?
So bolting lance, starting at 6th level, your lance regains the ability to use their major action along with 7 MP and rush forward, becoming a bolt of one type of elemental energy that you've gained affinity as per the elemental affinity skill.
Yep.
Within the number of minutes equal to your charisma modifier, the skill is similar to the Thunder Step or Misty Step spells that instantly moves your character from one location immediately to another. So I can't do that right now because I don't have an elemental, I guess.
True.
Damn. Alright, never mind.
But you can move pretty far if you just choose to jump up and paraglide down this thing.
I
What's
will
your-
do that.
Yeah. So you probably have no idea what your flying speed is.
Wait, no, can't. I don't think she could do that. She only has one wing.
True, and you still don't have a spell where you can replace that right now currently. That's not something
Nope.
in your repertoire. So you're going to have to dash, but you are pretty quick. What's your movement?
Let's see. Her movement is.
Pretty high. Your dex is high. Do you know where it's at? Right hand side of the character sheet, about right in the middle, you'll see speed. And it'll be a number plus a number. It should be 30 plus something.
Sorry, guys.
It's okay.
40.
So you can move 80. You can go 10 foot further than Jeremy
Alrighty.
just by straight getting it because you are a nimble thing. Is that what you'd like to do?
Yes.
Okay. Woman, you're wrong.
Cute, like little race car noises.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And then when you get to Jeremy, you hear, "Bad noise, wow." And you got 10 more foot. Now you're here. I'm going to give you 10 more foot. What direction would you like to do that? And rub this straight in Brahmus's face because I know you two are very competitive. Would you like to get up on this ledge and see what's going on?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to say even running down that thing, do me a favor, roll me a acrobatics or athletics check, you choose.
So 16 plus her dex, which is +4 for the acrobatics. So
That's fantastic.
dirty 20.
What I'm going to do for you is this. Since you were running down these steep steps, that one wing does work to glide. It can help you do this to a degree. Okay? So I'm going to say with that, I'm not going to make you use extra movement to climb up this wall. When you reach right here, you bound off that step and glided and landed right here.
I'm just picturing like a skateboard, skate down, like you know when you like slide down the rail with like the skateboard.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
That's it's like the wing equivalent.
That's
of
the
that.
way I see it. That's the way I see it.
Yeah.
I mean, if Karsu wasn't such a formal person, there'd be oohs and ahs, and you'd be having all kinds of stuff like confetti. It's good. It was an awesome move. Now,
In a different world, pocket confetti would just be like thrown into the air at this.
I
But
mean, you could probably buy poppers at the next city. If you just, I'm just saying, you guys just put on your shopping list. You can have it. You could have it. Now, here's where everyone gets jealous. And I'm sure if Danny's watching this, he knows that he can move further when he dashes than anybody else here. Because he's Bastille and he's made of straight lightning. It's just science. And when he dashes down through here, he's Assassin Creed in this shit. Because he has the free walking feet, or free running. Where he's that guy that's, you always see the YouTube videos of people bouncing off walls and jumping over park benches and shit. That is Bastille's world, and he loves it. And of course, now that we're just showing each other up, he goes a step further than everybody else, and he would probably like to jump up. I'm going to say he's going to go over here and be beside Karsu. Okay?
does he like come like Batman posing the entire way?
Oh yeah.
Like he lands just full Batman superhero pose.
I'm Bastille. That's what he does. That's what he does. And he's over here. He's just have no fear. Bastille is here. So, yes. So that is your all's turn, and then you take in the sights and behold the fact. And you know what? Just for immersion, we're getting rid of the grid. I don't need the grid for all the things. It's gone. A little bit of realism regained, and here we are. Now, Kiltusk, it's your turn. Because I am the game crafter, and I say so. You have created this beam of energy to come out, but now this gravity well has moved in your direction. And I need you to roll me a strength saving throw, please. As it is the beginning of your turn. I have the DC. I've rolled it, and I will tell you. Now I won't tell you. Just you better roll and hope you get high.
15.
That is a fail. And as that happens, this gravity well begins to suck you in, and you lose footing from where you're at, and once again, you find yourself suspended in the air in the middle of this damn thing. It's very strong, and it's amazing what he can do, and it literally sucks you right into the middle of this void. And you're dangling about 10 foot up in the air as this thing does this, and you would take 11 points of crushing damage. And that goes directly to you because it's crushing your armor and everything in around you. It's not like the armor absorbs it. It crushes it in and crushes you, and you can hear ribs pop, and you can feel your neck get super stiff, and you can even hear the bow start to slack on you as the weight of this gravity well crushes and around you. You can feel the string getting loose on your bow from it. It is painful, sir. Now that you've done that, you are considered to be restrained by this. Okay? Which is just a bad situation to be in, but that's what we're dealing with here. So you are restrained in the air, 10 foot up in the middle of this vortex, just failing what you've done. What is it you could possibly accomplish on your turn? And it's time to get creative if you can. I'll give you just a few more seconds and we're moving on.
Okay, did you say he was prone or was he just restrained?
You're restrained.
Okay, so what exactly does restrained mean? Like, how restricted is he?
Oh, Jeremy or Belly, can you look at it? I'll look it up real quick. Restrained. Dun 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 dun. Way to buy yourself some time, you sucker. Make everybody look up your shit for you while you're sitting there getting creative.
Because if he's still able to shoot his bow, then he's going to do a power shot.
Okay, restrained creature's speed becomes 0 and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage. And come on, Google, open up the page. Tell me the rest of it. Come on, why didn't it tell me the rest of it? What's the problem? We were doing so good. Okay, right here. Why is it? Oh my gosh, what a pain in the ass. Restrained. Attack rolls against the creature have advantage, and the creature's attack rolls have disadvantage. So you can attack, but you have disadvantage. The creature has disadvantage on dexterity saving throws. So you just feel the weight of this stuff crushing you down. You can attack, but it's going to be with ill favor, which is a 10 instead of a 20. And that's for dexterity-based kinds of things. Now, spells don't seem to be affected by that so much, but that's just one option of many. What would you like to do? Bella, I want you to roll me a 1d20, and a 20 is really, really good, and a 1 is really, really bad. There's a chance someone else could interact in this situation, and I want to see how they do. 6 isn't going to cut it. The hits keep coming. It's up to you, Colby. You're on your own, bud.
Yep, I figured that was going to be.
Do not trust me with rolls. I feel like I need to.
I feel like Jeremy should have rolled that one.
Jeremy definitely should have rolled that one.
So
You know, I say that exact same phrase when it comes to Thanksgiving. You shouldn't trust me around those rolls.
Very nice, buddy. I mean, you guys are common gold. Colby, your time is up, man. You've had 9 months to think about this. What in the hell? What more can I? How can I help?
He's just gonna do his normal. He's not gonna do any normal, like any extra arrow shot. He's gonna do his plain and normal one because he can feel the gravity increasing around him, and knowing that it's gonna be even more difficult to even pull off any extra shot.
It's tough. It's tough, buddy. What are you shooting?
Just as normal arrow. He's gonna be shooting at that.
Okay. I was like, I know what you're shooting. I meant, what are you shooting at? You're like, I'm just going to shoot an arrow, Brian. It's like, no, Colby.
He's gonna shoot at the big guy.
Okay.
He got nothing else to shoot at.
I got it, man. How many attacks you got?
I got 2 this round.
Hell yes, you do. Hit that son of a bitch. You got 1d10s plus your bonuses. As you're shooting from this void, I mean, the theatrics of this are crazy. These jars are down here, are spinning. You're up in the air, just like you're possessed and shit like that. And you're trying to draw your bow out, and you're just like, you bastard! And you're trying to nail him. Go ahead and roll your rolls. What'd you get?
Yeah.
That's not too bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the total?
15.
15's a miss. Shaboom! You gonna try it again?
You guys can try again.
Do it. I got a note for you. You got to get higher than 15.
20.
20 hits. Good job. Roll some damage, sir. Anything you want to put on it? As you're all like Tyrannosaurus Rex armed up there trying to shoot the bow. It's like, I can't reach it.
Yeah. His normal shot at this point will look like he's like trying to do the most overpowered shot he has ever done.
Yeah, I bet.
And you can just tell how much energy it is taking him just to do these normal shots.
Okay. Well, go ahead and give me some damage. You can either roll it or do the fast damage variant. Give me half your dice plus your modifiers. What do you want to do?
I just rolled for it, and it's an 8. It's a total of 8.
Total of what?
8.
8. Okay. Got to roll something. It's a little bit of concentration. Because you reached out and touched someone, bud. And good things can happen. Bella was closing her eyes like she's praying for you right now. She's like, low roll on concentration. Total of 4. Concentration is broken. Now, I got good news and I got bad news. The good news is the gravity well's gone. Because it can't concentrate on it anymore. Between the light and you being able to pluck it out of this darkness void with the heavy rain, and an arrow just comes straight down that beam at it and blasts him, which I'm going to say is some of the reasons why it hit him, because he couldn't see it coming, right? But the problem is there's nothing holding you up in the air anymore. Physical things suck. So let me adjust this. So this is Ozoman number 3, as they do. Just a minute. Oh, you know what? That's the reason being. He's not really in here as an enemy. He's in here as an ally. That's why I can't find him. Yeah, that's funny. Gravity Crush. Yeah. You're done. Get out of here. We don't want you anymore. Colby, I will let you use your reaction to do something if you can convince me. Because you're within 5 foot of this ledge and this right here, and there's a bunch of vines and shit like that. I will give you a reaction. I'll let you use your reaction to reach out and grab something, or else you're going to fall 10 foot and land into a bunch of sharp jars and shit's been spinning around. So
he's going to try and grab for that ledge, or as close to that ledge as he can.
Athletics or acrobatics? You tell me. I got a DC in mind. You roll and I'll tell you if you get it.
Acrobatics.
Okay. He's going to flip his way to safety. I like it. Let's go, man. Big rolls. You're due. Big rolls. What we got?
I'm doing the math.
It's
27.
Did you say 27? Oh, Jesus, you're Tarzan. It's incredible. No! As you grab onto the vines, you swing and your feet land deftly and securely. Bastille himself would be proud. And you're able to keep yourself from falling onto the jars, almost like the scene with Goonies, where Pinchers a Pal grabs on and keeps the young man from falling on the spikes and dying in that movie very early on. So, yes, you've done well. You are hanging now on the side of this wall. I am going to say, however, in your panic state, you dropped your bow. It is down below you because you had to reach out with your hands to grab onto the mines, okay? But it is down there. It is not gone. It is just 5 foot down below you, which is, let go, get it. But something you have to spend your turn doing, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, you're on the side of the wall now. Now it's going to be initiative. So, I want Jeremy and Bella and everybody to roll initiative, and we're going to see where we're at real quick. Okay? Now, do you guys want to do this as group initiative, or is everybody just running for their own thing? Bastille is not going to be doing group initiative. He's going to be acting on his own. So what about you guys?
When you say group initiative, can that be like any combination of people? Because I think Silwyn probably would work in tandem with Brahmus.
Okay, well, no, it can be in this instance because I'm just NPCing Bastille, so it's fine. So what this means is in a quick moment, you two yell out a plan together, a plan of action is how you want to team up and do something here. And I give you 2 minutes to come up with your plan. It won't involve Kill Tusk because he's not even sure that you guys are there yet. Okay? So I will give you guys 2 minutes. And in that time, I want you to send me in Messenger on Zoom here. I have it brought up. what your plan of action is, or just verbally tell me before the 2-minute time is up. Are you guys ready to come up with your plan together? Okay. And when you do, the person that enacts the first step of the plan, their initiative roll is the one that will matter in this.
All right.
Okay. Go ahead, guys. I want to
I
hear
got a
it.
16 on my initiative.
Okay. Talk to her.
My plan is to beat feet down where I've seen the gravity well kick up and disappear. Because I'm fairly certain that's one of ours. I got caught in that. And if I get down there and see that it's either Valdera or Kiltusk that is badly injured, my first thing is I'm going to be pumping them full of a lay on hands.
I think Silone is just running down with Brahmus. Same kind of goal, except for would be running security details, so then he can do lay on hands.
Atta girl.
So then it'd be like if there's an Osman, kicking the Osman away, so on and so forth.
Oh, so, okay. So, your plan is running interference and possibly dealing with the Ozaman, while Brahmus gets to go down and secure whoever's in danger and possibly do it.
Yep.
I like it, and with, like, almost over a minute to spare, you guys rocked it out. You're doing very good. With the minute to spare, you get a +1 to your initiative roll. So what was the total roll? When you guys decide things quickly and you shave minutes off, you get bonuses to your initiative roll.
So with group initiative, it's one initiative,
And
or
which one of you guys is going first in this? Was it Jeremy or you? Which one acts first here?
I imagine Silwyn would act first in order to push anyone away, and then Brahmus would be pulling up the rear to make sure to secure the person in danger.
Perfect. Roll your initiative roll and add 1 to it beyond what you normally would, and let me know what your total was. Time to roll high, Bella.
Okay, so I rolled a 19. Add the +1 to that, that's a dirty 20, and then I think my initiative is a +. What?
My God, that was supersonic. Like, my ear couldn't pick it up. What did you guys hear? I heard like a dog whistle. 4, okay. Sure. 25?
Yep. 19 plus 4
Okay.
plus 1.
I like it. Okay.
What time?
You go before Danny does. Danny, look, I'm looking right at the camera. I'm sorry, bud. You beat him down the hill. I'll give you that, okay? You did good. Danny done good.
About time Danny doesn't go first.
I know, and I'm trying to explain to him. He's got feelings, guys. Give me just a minute. Danny, listen. You can't have that. Okay, sometimes you've got to know when to hold them. Know when to fold them. You've got to know when to walk away. And know when to run. Okay, so anyway, you've been beaten. Good job. Okay, Bella. Silwyn goes first as you hear whatever from over on the side from Bastille. Well, okay, let's move you.
From the Bast Man himself.
Yes. The Bast Man. I like that. God, I hope he watches this. I know he's not going to. That's why I'm having fun with it, because I can just say things. So, you know you have 40 foot of movement before you even need to take an action. Do you plan on maybe jumping down onto said creature and hitting him? Do you want to throw the lance at him? If you use your movement first, and then use a jump, to get him, I believe you can do those things in tandem. I think it takes so much of your movement to be able to bound. You tell me how you want to do this.
I think definitely crashing down on the Ozaman would be the best bet.
5,
So
10.
Is it like vaulting up and then aerial assaulting down?
Yes, definitely. So half your movement is 20. 15. 20 is going to put you right here on the ledge.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, now, what does your vault entail? How many feet of movement do you have to sacrifice to be able to do it?
Let's see, half.
Okay, so you went 20 already.
Mhm.
Okay, now how far can you vault away? I'll let you know if you can reach it.
Let's see. The Sky Lancer table says that I can vault. Wait, let me check my character sheet real quick. 7 Lancer, that is 30 feet?
50 feet altogether.
Is it 50 altogether? Jeremy?
Half her movement plus 30 on the dive.
Okay, you can just reach it. So as you're running and you come down here and you're getting out the lance, and I'm going to say, even remember, you got that really awesome lance. Do you have that written down still, the one you got from inside of the actual reality? This would be a neat moment to see if you actually brought that thing with you.
I don't think I was piloting Silhouette during the acquisition of that one. I think that may have been a time I was out.
Okay, do you remember that, Jeremy, when we were all walking through, and I believe Bella was behind, because we were at the forge. And I said there's all these racks of all these different spears. I thought you were there for that. You were at that. But it's okay. I can always revisit the episode, look at and see. But for now, we're going to say you're using Old Faithful. Okay?
If I was there and if I obtained it, she uses it. If I was not there and did not obtain it, Old Reliable.
Okay. Old Reliable will work for today. Okay?
Alright.
Which Old Reliable's still pretty damn decent, man. So, as you do, and you're running down, you get to the edge, you bound off and come down at this thing, at your maximum distance. And as you go, and your feet and the feathered wings on the side of you just glance off of this beam of light. It does not hurt you. Okay? It is just brilliant. It is very interesting. As the Ozaman looks up to meet you, its gaze is kind of knocked aside a little bit as I had to stare into the light to see you coming down at it. I will throw an animation in here just for fun because I can do things like that.
I just got a dumb idea. It's like the Osman just like squints up at this brilliant light and just sees the shadow of this just tiny blonde woman. Just like, you mother!
Rattling. And you can see that this thing usually breaks up and it has energy pulses from the spear as you come down with your attack. Go ahead and roll your attack roll, please. Let me know if you're able to hit with this. I will give your attack roll a favor because you came down through that beam of light, and when the creature looked up at it, you it was startled away, and it's not going to be able to react to you as well as normal.
What do
So
I
it's a 1d20
roll?
and
Okay.
a 1d10 plus your attack roll modifiers, which are all the way at the end of your weapon thing.
Okay, so I rolled a 5 on the 1d20, but a 10 on the d10.
That's good.
And the attack is...
You see where your weapon is, and you follow that column all the way out to the end on the right.
Total
have-
attack,
Yep,
13.
that's super high and good. So we got a 15 plus a 13.
Yes. Yes.
Awesome. So way it comes down is usually with lancers, this thing has got a little bit of a hook on the bottom. And a lot of times you'll come down with it on with your foot on it, and you're coming down and you're spearing down. You've got your foot on the thing, your wing keeping you guided and flying straight, and you come straight down onto the chest and shoulder of this thing with the lance straight on with a solid breaching hit. Go ahead and roll the damage for this. You know how to do it. Because it's way more than a regular attack. You have to look at that move and tell me. I know it's been a minute, which is why I don't want to give you a hard time.
You're like, but a few more sessions down the line, then I'll give you a hard time.
Oh, then it's going to be a shit show. Yeah, it's going to be bad for you.
Yeah, wow. Good to know.
Welcome to the video.
Woo.
That was sarcasm, guys. Woo! Thanks for being judgmental. I love it. Yay!
Let's see. On a hit, you take no fall damage, and the target takes an additional 1d6 damage for every 10 feet you have descended to a maximum of 50 feet.
Mm-hmm. And you went to a maximum of how many feet?
I did the maximum of 50 feet.
So that's 5d6.
Alright.
Okay, and then you're adding on your damage bonus and the base damage of the lance.
Okay, so 5d6 was 13.
Because it's a whole round thing. I mean, well, the whole movement and the jump is one attack. Then you have another attack when you land beside him still. Yeah, you still have one attack afterwards.
13 plus 1d6 plus 6?
Yeah.
So 19 plus 6, 25.
25 points of damage from that. Damn. You come down hard with that and land with that thing. It rips through and goes out. And then you land and you can hear that thing go through his shoulder, and your end of your lance hits that hard stone and goes dong. And you have impaled this guy with that lance. Okay, from the shoulder collarbone down. And as it looks down, you can see its eyes kind of roll back in its head, and you can feel the gravity from around its horn starting to flicker and move around. As now you find it while your neck is straining a little bit, it's kind of hard to keep your position around him, as there's some kind of unnatural force that comes from around the creature. You have one more attack left. What is it you would like to do on it? Your movement is expended.
Can I stomp on his horns?
Yes.
Or a horn? What do I roll for stomp?
I'd call it a dexterity for you because you're nimble. And are you wanting to stomp on its horn? Because that's on its head. You wanting to stomp on its horn?
I guess.
I'll let you stomp a horn. It's all good.
Yeah.
So have to boop it in the snoot with a stiletto on her heel.
Yeah. It's all good. Go ahead and roll attack.
Well.
This is with favor because you have him pinned with your polearm.
So that's a 10?
A 10
add a d10?
Yeah, a 20 and 10. What do you got together?
Well, that's an 8. So.
What is that together?
No, that's it together.
Oh, it's 8 altogether, and then plus dexterity, right? Which is...
It's 4, so 12.
No, not at all. So, as you're able to do that...
She maybe hits the horn, but it is a sturdy horn and nothing happens.
Yeah, and I'll say when you do that force that it's starting to release is almost like trying to push two magnets together. You know, you come down, but it's not just quite enough. He needs to roll something. There's a massive amount. Okay. He's barely hanging on, but you can see him starting to black out as he's now bleeding from the wound that you've given him. That is that. Jeremy, you are up. Now that you've seen her run down past you and pounce onto this Ozma and land a very good aerial assault attack upon it, what are you choosing to do?
I'm going to move over to the ledge. And
we're doing that just a minute. So we're talking like, boom, 5 foot?
down to the where the head is.
The ledge that
okay,
Kiltusk
so
is
5,
hanging off of?
Yeah.
10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 is going to put you there. That's about all you got, right?
Yep, 35, and I can see Kiltusk down there, right?
Yes, you can see him hanging off the vines. Now, is that okay the way I moved you? I was just making the shortest distance. You can
Yeah,
just
no,
flip it if you
that's
like.
perfectly fine.
Okay.
And I probably see Kiltusk is pretty damn beat up.
It don't look good, bud.
So we use my bonus action to operate my hyperdrive or hyper mode on my overdrive.
Mm-hmm.
Gives me an extra 5 foot for every one that I roll on a d6, and I just rolled a 6, so I'm taking 6 internal damage. I'm getting an additional 30 foot out of this. Didn't need that
Okay.
much.
Awesome. Explain to them what that looks like. I love your overdrives, dude.
So I'd like to think that I did this when I was heading down this way.
Yeah.
And it is a whole lot of I take a few steps and then really dig my heels into the dirt or into the stone on the ground. Almost to the point where it probably like almost cracks under the pressure. And you watch as like the internals under his outer armor kind of take on this glowing look to him as it from anybody on the outside looking in can obviously tell it's damaging something. There might be a degree of sparks or smoke or something that looks like it's not doing me any favors.
Bass is like, do you smell hair burning?
Yeah.
What? Do you smell that?
So with that hyperdrive, I take 6 points of internal damage,
Yes.
and then I get an additional 30 foot to my movement, which will
you
allow me.
utilize how?
I'm going to jump down that ledge to kill Tusk.
You got it. Now you're down here, and he can literally stand on your shoulder to get off this wall if he needed to. You were
Yep.
on the ground
Don't break my
beside him.
bones.
You are ladder.
Yep. And then I want to turn around to him. It's good to see you, my friend. I'm going to put a hand on his shoulder, and I'm going to pump him with 40 hit points of lay
40?
on hands. 40.
Yes, I'm moving on up.
And I've still got more.
Fucking paladins.
Injects Kiltusk with like straight caffeine Captain American serum.
Yeah. Right.
I live!
You're
Agent
not
Carter's
done
over on
fighting
the
yet.
side going, damn.
I mean, he puts me back at full health. That's what he did.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All
With like
right.
9 to spare.
Hell yeah, that's amazing. So, what's the next move? Is that the end of your turn, dude?
So that's my movement, my bonus action, and my action. Yeah. That's what I got. Mission accomplished.
Okay. So, let's do things. She's there. Colby, not Bella, because I've learned my lesson. Colby, roll me a 1d20. 20 means Bastille does amazing things. 1 means Bastille is still better, that he got beaten in initiative and he's over there pouting.
9.
What was it?
9.
9's not great. Okay, so let's move Bastille 5, 10, 15, 20,
We got to humble Bastille a little bit.
30. Bastille comes over to the side and sees what has transpired and sees that Silhouette has her lance pushed down into the thing, but when she tries to finish and put another kick on it, it seems that it's starting to build up some kind of gravity push out of desperation from around it as a reaction to her stabbing deeply into the creature. Number 3 does this. The rain starts to swirl around, and you can start to feel that pressure from it growing, Bella. Silhouette, as that is happening. With that, Bastille from there releases. Let me see how many feet that is. What's a long range for daggers, Jeremy?
You muted.
I think daggers are 2060.
2060, huh? That's 30. Let's see if I can get there. Just 1 minute here. I'm going to see if I can get there, and if not, we're going to move it on because he's only got a 9. So let me make sure I'm doing this right. Where's the gang? Here we go. Let's go Bast. Where's 30? It's going to be 35, 40, 5, 10, 15, 20. Nope. They're going to have disadvantage for the long one, correct? Or ill favor.
That is correct.
Okay. I think at this point, I think he's going to use... is Misty Step a bonus action?
It is.
Okay. I'm going to Misty Step down to the pedestal. Alright? And as Danny does, and he ends up beside the creature that has this thing put in it, it's got to use his bonus action. He's used all of his movement. Now I have my attack action, correct? Yeah, because the bonus action is the Misty Step. Okay, now he's going to... she is on one side with the lance stuck into it. He is over behind it. He has advantage, which gives him backstab, and he is going to do Twin Vipers. Which he would, because that's how he rolls. So, as he lands, you see something come into view. As it looks like a serpent image pierces through the darkness. As you can see him come down with the twin vipers from behind the creature and stab into it truly. As he does, I'm going to roll a basic thing to see how this goes. And with a natural 19 plus a lot of things, here's what it's going to look like. She's held fast. She's got it down. She tries kicking the horn on the creature to maybe dislodge her lance to get a better thing, but the gravity starts to come out of it instinctually, and it's starting to grow. Bastille runs over to the ledge, seeing that you have been able to give Killtusk sure footing and a way down. He looks over, and he says, she's going to need some help. And he runs over so many feet, and as soon as he moves his arms like this, he appears on the pedestal beside the creature. Before you can see it, the radiant energy from around the rapiers seems to pierce through the darkness of the gravity well in the rain as he bounds up into the air and comes down with both at the same time right into the traps of the creature. It comes down beside the horns, and as it howls out and reaches its head up, he runs it all the way down, and at the very end of it, you can see blood start to pool underneath of where the hands would be hanging of the creature as it slumps over and falls, slain. The only thing holding it up is the lance from Silouan that pierces it and is sticking into the stone. And the creature is no more. Just that was fun. Okay. Now, we are actively out of initiative. And it's 10 o'clock. So we're going to have a conversation. As Bella's back was hurting her quite a bit, she has to sit in a weird position to do this. So Bella, if you want to go ahead and sit back, just sit back and relax, and we're going to talk this through, okay? You're good. Hey, we got plenty of your face. We can put in a slideshow. We've done it before. It's all good. No sense in beating yourself up. So let me do something here real quick. Settlement. Let's get your lance out of here. And move your icon to where you were just on the ledge. Let's go ahead and get
Enjoy
rid of...
Silouan's study in my absence.
Yeah. Get rid of Danny's awesome graphic of his radiant daggers and stuff. You've seen it before, haven't you, Jeremy?
Oh, yeah.
I like that stuff, man. Twin Vipers, baby. Get it. Okay. So, with this, and I'm going to leave this up here just for you guys to gaze at and think about things. So we're out of initiative. And as the rain pours down and Killtusk climbs down Brahmus's large Mechon body and lands, Bastille looks down the beam of light, looks over the side, and he says, "Has that always been there?" And as he walks across, or bounds across, and looks, and he's standing in the brilliant light that's shooting down from that statue. He stands there in the beam with it shooting past him. And as he looks down, you can see his back, and he's got like kind of like a half cloak, and he throws it back over his shoulder, and he's looking down. And he looks over at you intently, Brahmus, and says, "I think you want to have a look at this." What are you doing?
As well. And I'll walk over there, take a look at it.
As you do, is everyone joining him to look at this thing together? Or does anybody want to do something different? Bella, how about you? What would you like to do in this instance? Mind you, there's one over here. There's a lot of these down here that don't have anything shining on them. Kiltusk, you have an idea of how maybe to activate these things, but you can't be certain. You know, it kind of happened when you went to turn it by accident. You don't know if anything more than that happened, but when you turned the head towards this thing by just a fluke, this is what we got. Okay? In Silouan, you're standing right beside a dormant one that doesn't have any kind of light shining on it whatsoever. Jeremy, you guys, give me your thoughts. I want you all to have a conversation and try to figure out exactly what this is, and then I'll give you this much. Who's going over to Bastille, and who's examining the other one, or is somebody doing something alternatively than that? I'll let Bella be the first one to speak on it.
I think Silouan may be first of all checking Kiltusk is okay, and then getting Karsu.
Awesome. Okay. So with that, you would hop across and maybe brush off Kiltusk as he's getting down. He's bloody to a bit. He has some of the debris on him from the wall. And as he's finishing getting on the ground behind Brahmus, Brahmus walks off and leaves the two of you and heads over towards Bastille. Do you guys share a word in this moment as you guys interact? Kiltusk and Silouan?
I think she maybe says something like, "Oh, good to see you again, friend. I'm glad that you're looking a little bit better. Any idea of what's going on?"
She would arrive after he fully picked up his bow after dropping off the ledge, and he would be, I have the slightest idea, but all I know is this statue was moved during the fight, and it shined that beam of light to that gemstone over there, and it's about all I know. And your timing couldn't have been any better.
Oh, well, I'm glad it worked out like that. Silouan knows the connection between Karsu and Kiltusk, right?
You have suspicions.
Okay, so I think
And mind you, it's not over the top like stuff, but they realize that they need each other, and there's been some kind of her taking her life more seriously now and not just considering herself to be a vessel has opened it up to possibilities.
Okay, so I think she may do okay. I think some investigation may be had. I'm gonna go find Karsu, and then, or I'm gonna go retrieve Karsu. And then I think like she kind of gives him like a little playful like wink before beginning to scale up the vines to check in with our beloved scion.
Nice. When you get almost to the top of the vines, her hand reaches out and she smiles, like to the point where it's almost such a big smile, it's almost ugly. Like she's really letting emotions kind of do a thing now that she's not ever let that happen before, you know. And she reaches down to you. You have a feeling that she could pretty much just look at you and force put you up on the ledge, but she's just being very human right now, and that is an accomplishment.
And I don't think I've ever seen a genuine smile that is ugly.
Nope. Um, that's fair. Wood is very genuine. Okay? And as she gives you a hand and pulls you up in that last moment, she's staring at this head of Bakka that is emitting this light. And she looks at you and she goes to smile again, but then there's a sadness that comes over to her. And she looks back up the long stairway and she looks at you all. And she goes, He is gone then, Braxel.
He is on a journey. Meant for a warrior as skilled and as capable as he is, and he's doing what he absolutely needs to.
She looks at you very long, as if she's wanting to determine if you truly believe that or not. And a peace comes over her when she realizes that you do. And she looks down. And she repeats some of the words that he said as if she could sense that from you. She is extraordinarily gifted in psychic anomalies and things of that nature. And she repeats his last words, that he said before he walked through the portal, back to you as if she was there and heard them through your mind. And she can see the moment and she closes her eyes. And she just kind of pleasantly smiles. And with the rain beating down off of her hairless head, you can't tell if she actually has a tear or that's just the heavy rain coming down. And she nods. And she puts her hand to her chest. And she's just rocking herself. And she opens up her eyes, and they're no longer empowered in white, but they are normal eyes of a normal Atlati young woman. And she says, there must be more to this contraption than this is the true power of the Mechon. It's amazing. And it's sat here for all these years. It's unbelievable. And she goes over to it and she places her hands on it and she's closing her eyes. And she looks at you and she's like, I'm trying to see, going back. I'm trying to see what all this means. I need time. And you can see her eyelids kind of flutter as if her eyes are just spinning underneath of them as she's trying to recollect. You must understand this is some kind of spell. This is her seeing the past somehow. You don't know how it's possible, but the magic that these people can perform here is a little bit different than the stuff we're used to in the mainlands. You know what I mean? And she is an accomplished scion, even though she is young. She is trying to look back and search through memories, touching this thing, almost as you've heard of druids doing with plants and trees and having memories and visions. And she's trying to put this all together, Silwyn. What are you doing?
I think she's just giving her time.
Okay. Kiltusk, where are you headed as you're looking up and you're seeing her begin to do this? Are you headed towards them? Are you investigating somewhere else? Are you headed to the other two that are over on the pillar? Or are you doing something crazy? Are you just playing hopscotch? I mean, what you doing, bud?
He's going to intercept Loki, Valder, and the Ozelman and let them know everything that just happened.
Okay, so you're going to look for Valdera in them.
Yes, because he sent Valder and Loki to get the Ozelman.
Yes. And, and you had the perception to know that. Some people didn't. But as that happens, over to the side, you do remember, and I'm going to make them come in closing to you, but Valdera with her new token, looking really, really awesome, I should say. And one of the Ozomen shaman is coming over And I will have you meet and greet them halfway, and of course, beside them, as always, is the amazing Loki. Hanging out in the rain, man, just loving it. Looking up and getting a drink, as you can see the dog go up and down and kind of shaking his head and looking around, and you approach this group and have a conversation with them. Colby, just for me, I'll have you meet them about halfway as you go up looking for Valdera, and you're calling out to Loki, and all of a sudden you can hear the clicks and a little bit of a squeak come out of it as its rainbow-colored feathers stand up on the back of its neck, and it has spotted you, and it comes trotting over in your direction with a up and down motion, as it were. Have a conversation with the three of them. What's going on?
So the corrupted had been, well, one of them has fled and the other one has been killed in the battle we just had. And within that battle, a Bakka statue has been activated and is shining a bright light of beam into one of the stones.
As you're having that conversation, Valdera is looking over at you, and she looks over at the shaman, and she looks back at you, and she kind of gives you this side-to-side nod like something bad has happened. And the Ozaman shaman comes up and speaks in its tongue, which you understand. We've established that. You can speak their native tongue. And what it roughly translates to is that the corruption inside of the Ozaman has went too far. Their minds have been lost to the darkness that dwells within our home, corrupting it even beyond my sight. And he has his hand on her shoulder, and you realize this is the old blind shaman from before that has the large staff. And he says, I must return with the remaining of our kind and try to undo this evil before we cause yet another scar to these lands. He just kind of puts his head down in shame with those big black muscular skinned hands, and he looks at her and he gives her a knowing nod, and he kind of turns, and Valdera just kind of nods, and he wanders off slowly. His big large white furred back is kind of rippling of muscles but yet creaking of old age as he makes his way out to the east and leaves, as you see the other shaman kind of popping up and appearing out of the wood line that were here, the other ones that were on the pyramid joining with him, and almost slowly migrating, almost like the dark crystal when all those certain creatures got together and made that slow pilgrimage. They seem to be doing it, heading back to the east and trying to go back and solve why this corruption is starting to overtake them. All they were here to do is battle and help fight for the soul of Tenosia. And it seems like that combat just pushed a little bit of these crazed, corrupted Ozamen a little bit too close to that corruption that's just underneath the surface. Loki comes up and pushes you kind of hard and nuzzles into your chest as the feathers kind of get up around your face and stuff, and it sniffs you, and it looks at the poncho that you have on, noticing that it's different than the one that you had on previously, and sniffs you to smell the different kind of creatures on you, and lets out 2 or 3 different squawks, and then a rolled kind of clicking sound with its tongue in between its razor sharp teeth, and just kind of looks at you and takes a step back, kicks up 1 foot and lowers its head down to the stone, and looks up at you with an eye as it does, asking for its next command, obviously, or something to that degree. Valdera comes over and pats the creature on the side and looks over at you, and you can see that Valdera is wounded. She's been bit pretty bad a couple times on her left arm. As you have seen her fight before, her left arm is where she has that big mantle of the Chimera's head, and she uses her left side and that big Padawan to guard herself as she uses her right arm as her main arm with her great sword. and she's taken several hits to that left arm and that left side. Okay? She goes, you don't realize how lucky you are to have a creature like that that doesn't complain. It doesn't feel the normal fear and pain of hired mercenaries. And all that for a little bit of feed. It's not too shabby. She looks at you for a long moment. She goes, you okay?
Took a little big hits back there, and the other group arrived. And the other half of our group came back just in time to save me. And they're the ones that killed the final corrupted.
She goes, well, the way things have been in this fucking place, I'd say we'll have plenty of chances to pay him back. Don't hang your head. As long as there's an edge on the blade, there's more things to cut with it. At least that's how I do it. She smiles and she comes over and she kind of punches you hard in the shoulder. She goes, suck it up. You don't want to look like a wuss in front of the girl. She kind of chuckles and kind of gives you a little slap on the chin, just kind of being silly, and looks at you and is like, like that. And she walks down the direction and she goes, what is... That's new. And she's headed towards the light.
Mm-hmm.
Now, with that, Brahmus. We're having all kinds of fun. We're having this scene after scene, everybody. So, you guys. I can see clearly now. So, Bastille is examining this thing, and he's looking up at you. And he's saying, do you see that?
What exactly are you speaking of? Are you speaking of the sigil on the floor, the gemstone, the light?
Roll perception check. Investigation check. Whatever you want, you tell me why.
Same thing either or, I'll do an investigation because I'm actively looking at it.
Yeah, I like that.
The 9.
It's really kind of right there. And I can't say, I mean, it's not great. And you can't quite put it together. But you can see that now that this gem, this stone or whatever this thing is, it's like, it's not a stone, it's not a crystal. It's kind of in between. Like before, this looked like some kind of fine stone orb. But now it's lighting up like some kind of jewel. It's very strange. Almost like a crystal
kind of
ball of some kind. Yeah, almost like a quartz or something like that. Yeah. Like it's glowing from the inside. And when you see that, you can see a recess, a shadow inside of this thing. And it looks like that one of those tablets would fit into it. Bastille looks at you and he goes, couldn't have made it more obvious. It only took 50 years to find it. He just kind of chuckles and looks at you, and he goes to touch it, and his hands are getting like this, and before he does, he goes, if something happens, just yank me back. Okay? You can
Put a hand up, ready to grab him.
just and he kind of repositions your arm. He goes, I got hit there. Let's try this side. Just okay. If I can do this with a skull, I can definitely do this out here. No ghosts, no problem. Got it.
No pressure.
No. So you say that, and then just stay in there where it's safe. And he reaches down and he grabs onto this thing and he begins to turn it. And as he turns that recess, this thing unlocks. And the top part of the stone, which looks like an illuminated quartz, like color of that purple violet hue, unlocks and comes off almost like the child lock on a pill bottle. You know how the levers line up and it picks off there? And as it does, there is a square recess inside of this thing, and you'll notice that there are symbols on it, and it would match one of what you have. So with that realization and Bastille looking up at you, looks like we have some big decisions to make.
Is any of this written like a written language?
Some of it, well, here's the thing. Bastille, gets it. He can interpret, not only does he have that ability to be able to understand written languages, and he's told you guys at several different times throughout there, some of these ideals transcend words. They're more like thoughts. It's not like he can exactly read them word to word for you, but he can understand the gist of what's going on here.
Right.
And he can look at the symbolism inside this thing, match it with one of those tablets, and decipher, okay, this is the one that is giving me images and depictions of creating the land bridge. This is the one that has the imagery of the waterfall and the portal with the rainbow winged people back behind it, and that's going to open up this. These are all just transcribed commands to be entered in from tablet to temple, from temple to the Bakka, to the large gargantuan Bakka Mechon that stands towering over you all.
And you said that for each tablet, the chance of success is lesser and lesser.
That's what the old man said. He said the stuff is old. And he would say that if it's set dormant for so long and underwent the damage and shit of the Vasilian mistreating this and put up all these dams and the water has eroded and the ground has been shook and the volcanoes went off, it's a gamble every time you do one of these, and it's going to get harder and harder to decide which one is the most important and has the greatest chance to be tried first.
It seems to me like you better check out the other ones.
So let's do this. Let's end there for tonight, which is a great spot to end it on, I think. And you guys, I've shared with you that information with you. You know the 4 things. When we do this again, and I'll tell Danny all about this. He knows about this. We got into this much conversation. I hoped we'd get here, and I think the timing of it was great. I think it's paced well, and we're here now. Danny has his own ideas as to which one he thinks is the most important. But we're going to combine those notes, and you guys are going to have to make decisions that's going to alter how this goes. And decide which one's first, which one's second. And I'm going to have each one of you in charge of trying to do one after the other until something breaks. And you'll have to decide who's doing the first one, who's doing the second one, and which one Bella's going to roll.
Do not trust me with these decisions. I have an opinion of the ranking, but in terms of the roll,
Listen, I believe in you. Look at all the things that you've accomplished in the last year and a half of your life, Bella.
Okay.
You can do this.
So, accomplishment, there's no amount of hard work I could put into a dice roll. That's just pure luck, and my luck sucks.
I mean, you did good. I gave you, favor on him, and you made a hit of 25 points of damage from a 50-foot jump. I mean, listen. Sometimes things are good. Sometimes they're not. So, and it's in your all's hands.
Yeah.
I'm really curious to see how this goes. I'm excited about it.
Woo-hoo.
This is it, guys. And first, you got to figure out how to get light, I guess, to illuminate on other ones. Now, Bastille has mentioned that there are several of these around here, because remember, he was like, let's not go any further. Let's loot this shit. Remember, we had to argue with them. We're like, no, we need to go. Right? When we first went down in here, there's several of these different heads all over this place. We fought amongst all of them as we were ascending this to try to get into the center of it. So this is just a big puzzle, guys. You know?
No, not the puzzles.
I know the puzzles. That's right. So, but that's where we're at with it. Is everyone good with this? All right. Well, listen, I'm going to get ready to shut this down. We'll talk for 5 minutes and then go to hell to bed and have a good week of work ahead of us next week. That'll be super.
Sure
So,
hope.
let me get to my stuff here. There's the stop recording button, and here's the. Let's see here. Here's the stop recording. Okay, so this was fun. Both campaigns are such a good time. The characters are great. The stories are awesome. This one's complex, but man, we've earned it, and it's world changing, storyline changing. It's going to get just better from here. I would hurry it and just end it, but you can't with this. I know where we need to go. You guys have an idea, but you can't rush what's happening here, and what's happening here is going to change the way the world works. So, from everyone else here joining me, I'm Brian Kynes. From Bella, Colby, and Jeremy in Danny's Natural 20 rolling spirit. I would like to tell you guys have a good night, and hopefully we'll see you back in a couple weeks on the next Sunday we do this. Take care, everybody. We'll see you.
Bye.
Bye.